Alright, ladies and gentlemen, it is another day of Ragnarok because we are going to do something very different here today. Something I've never done ever in the history of my time doing YouTube across any channel. I'm going to do a reaction video for the very first time. I've never done this before, so hopefully I don't suck at this stuff, because I'll be honest, I don't know how I'll do at this. It can't be that hard, right? We'll figure it out. But the reason why we're here, as you can see from the YouTube, well, yeah, we're going to be reacting to not one, not two, not three, but all 7 teaser videos. The exclusive teasers that the 7 chosen content creators got to do. In which your boy here, Tyr, from Made of Ragnarok, I happen to become friends with some of these people. So that's actually pretty sick. And shout out to everybody that I've made friends with when it comes to the content creator space. It was said on Richard Unicorn Caller's channel the other night that a lot of us get to meet up together, talk to each other in a Discord, all that stuff. And some of the people that I happen to become friends with were some of the chosen names. Now, this first name that you see here, so we're going to go in order of when they were posted, from the earliest one, which was Myth by AwesomeTheSauce, to the latest one, which is Almond, who did the Storm stuff. So, I've talked to AwesomeTheSauce on his stream like a normal viewer, but I don't know the guy personally. So, this is literally just a viewer reacting to the content, and that's it. I have no affiliation. I have no hatred either. I'm completely neutral here. And also, because I don't really know a lot about Myth, there's a lot of stuff here. But because they're the Minion school, in which this entire update is basically a Minion update, it doesn't surprise me that the Myth one, which is what we're starting with, is probably the longest one out of them all. And I say probably, but I think it's most definitely, because I thought I saw all the time links, and yeah, this one's 100% the longest one, so yeah, if you're a fan of Sauce, here you go. We're starting with him. If not, you know where to go for the school. I'll put chapters in the description and all that stuff so that you can know, like, hey, the Myth section's here, the Fire section's here, all that stuff. You get it. You already know what's going on. But what we're gonna do is I'm gonna make the screen a wee bit bigger if I can. There we go. Let me see how that looks. Perfect. Beautiful. Alrighty. Yeah, nearly 18 minutes for this one. So that's pretty insane. Alright, y'all. Let's get it. There's going to be some pausing here and there because, you know, going over everything, seeing how the whole system works, all that stuff. But for now, let's begin.
Y'all, the Wizard101 summer update is right around the corner, and today we have an insane video because Wiz gave me a bunch of exclusive Myth spell teasers to share with y'all. Now, Summer Update seems to be adding new spells for every school, but also is updating every single minion in the game that they didn't cover in the Spring Update. And Myth is a school of minions, so we got some new spells to talk about and what every single new Myth minion does. Now, I thought it was only right to start this video with the cinematic for the new Myth spell that's getting added in the summer update. Brace yourselves for what you're about to see.
Cinematic, animation time. Ooh, it's Meowie. Is this the first time you've ever had Meowie?
That is right, y'all. Finally.
Hang on, is this the first time we've ever had Meowie as a spell? And like a trained Meowie? I think there's been treasure cards in the past, and you could even do monsterology to get a freaking minion of him. But in terms of an actual Meowie trained spell, is this the first? See, I don't know Myth like that. I'm an ice main, so there's going to be a lot of stuff when it comes to certain sections of the video that I don't quite know. Because, like, I've played Death a good bit, I've played Storm a good little bit, and obviously my main is Ice. So a lot of the other schools, I won't really know a ton, admittedly. So when we get to those sections, there are going to be times where I might not know something. So keep that in mind. And if you happen to main one of those schools that I don't know about, please help me out. Like, if you know a lot about Myth, please help me out. Because I am clueless.
After 15 plus years of being a villain, Meowie is about to be a spell in Wiz. Now, not only does this man's look menacing, I'm sure y'all are probably wondering, what does this new spell do? So this is the new
I thought I saw a dot. Oh, here we go. Here's a good way to look at it all. Here we go. So if you didn't see it before, obviously there's going to be a couple of spell limit paths. And this is a... Damn, top path is a 1 pip dot. Okay. So, like, I did see these teasers, but I don't remember everything too well because there's a lot to take in, you know what I mean? So, there's going to be things that I might have seen but don't remember. A 1 pip dot for top path is actually pretty insane. Like, the damage is 125 at best, but it's 1 pip. That's not bad. It's also a good shield clear, too. It's a good weakness clear. It's a good shield clear. All that stuff. Bottom path is 2 pips, but it does a little more damage, and it gambits a trap to summon a minion. Okay. So, depending on how you play, you could actually get something pretty decent here. I just don't know what the minion is, but we're going to find out over time.
Spell. Now, right out the gate, we gotta call it out. This looks to be a spellament upgradable spell, meaning you'll have to farm spellaments, and considering that Marleybone already drops main storyline spellaments, right? We're talking about things like Troll, maybe even Cyclops. Like, you get those in Marleybone already. I'm assuming that these new spellaments are gonna drop either from a gold key boss based in Marleybone or maybe event spellaments. Time will tell on that, but let's talk about what each path of the new Meowie spell is saying. So the top path, I'm just gonna say it right now, I think this is a goated spell already. This looks to be
that's not bad
a
for
very,
1 pip.
very simple spell. A 1 pip damage over time that does 125 damage at max tier over 3 rounds. Now, before this spell teaser, the cheapest damage overtime that you could train was Fire Elf. The only other...
That is true. Because I don't think there's ever been a 1 pip dot that I remember. And just to kind of go back just for those couple of frames, obviously there's a few different variants of the Fire Elf. The one that you see on him is the variant where it puts a dot, clears an enemy shield, and then puts another dot, which the damage is actually pretty decent for 2 pips. It's actually really good for 2 pips if you get the second dot. But what it really is used for is clearly as anti-shield. That's where, as an ice main, we don't like fighting fires. Not in PvE, not in advanced combat, not in PvP. Like, that is where, if you're an ice main and you're wondering how fire counters you, that's how. It's because they're super anti-shield. And as an ice main, with shield's been our identity, we tend to lose to fire more than we win, especially in like a PvP setting where I'm not really a PvPer. I am a standard PvE player. I'm not even really an advanced combat player either. But I do know enough about the magic wheel to know why fire statistically should win over an ice.
Was Fire Elf. The only other 1 pip overtime to my knowledge in the game is Deathbat, which is a seasonal, only available really during Halloween treasure card. You might find it in the bazaar if you're lucky, but it's somewhat rare. It looks like now, whether you learn this as a myth or get the spellments for this as another school, we have a new 1 pip damage overtime. Universally usable. I really love the fact that this is like a multi-purpose spell. It expands on the fact that Myth has damage overtimes already. You might think about spells like King Art or Basilisk. However, those are very pip intensive. It's very hard to use these to take advantage of like things that give up.
Yeah, that's actually true. Because like Myth overtimes, yeah, there's not that many, but the ones that do exist are pretty pip expensive. And that's where it's like, can you really rely on dots as a myth because of that, where you have to spend 8-9 pips to get a dot that might get countered by somebody? Now you don't have to worry about it so much, because now with that, a myth or somebody who gets the spell elements can just use a 1 pip dot, maybe get a shield clear or two, and the opponent, because it's really hard to say on certain things, but I do feel like if somebody is shielding enough, they want to keep those shields. Otherwise, you could really ignore the dot because it just doesn't do the damage needed to put somebody in kill range, anything like that. It's literally just there as a way to clear negative utility off of yourself or going against you.
Damage overtimes to do extra stuff. But now you could totally see combos where you do the new top hat Meowiardi and then quite immediately give up that damage overtime for a minion using the new troll. Right, this gives up a damage overtime for a myth minion. Little things like that are possible. Also, this is enchantable, so in PvE, you're looking at literally a damage overtime that you could use on any turn as a shield break. Very, very high utility spell. Now, the bottom path might actually be even more useful because this is still 2 pips, meaning as long as you have a 100% pip chance, you could use this on any turn. Also enchant.
Yeah, any turn castable things like this are actually pretty busted just for the fact that it's an any turn cast. Because, like, yeah, as long as you got the pip chance. Yeah, this is an any turn spell, and so is the 1 pip. So, yeah, that's something that you have to keep in mind if you have spells like this, is as long as you got the pip chance, they're basically any turn casts. And they're always going to be relevant in something. Usually it's like utility clear, but you already got that. I mean, the damage is not going to put someone at kill range, so otherwise, yeah.
So very usable in PvE, but at max tier, we're looking at much more damage. We're looking at 190 damage. Now, with an epic enchant, you're looking at a 600 damage overtime for 2 pips, just base. That's what the new bottom path is. But this spell also,
that's also another good point. Enchants are a thing in standard PvE. You could put an epic on it, and that actually would make it pretty serious. But if you're doing PvP or advanced combat, you don't have enchants, so you do have to keep the regular default number in mind. If you're someone who does raids, challenge modes, stuff like that. But still, 190 over 3 rounds for 2 pips is actually still not bad.
If you choose to use your spellments to upgrade down this path, it gives you
and the fact that you get a minion if you gambit a trap that you put. And if you're someone who happens to be confused about what clearing and gambiting is, if you see a card that says clear, you're getting rid of an enemy benefit. If it says gambit, you're sacrificing one of your own benefits to then get a different benefit.
An extra utility that involves a brand new minion. So Dispel, what it's basically saying is it'll do a 3-round damage overtime for a total of 190 damage, but let's say that you have a trap on your opponent, you could give up the trap to summon this new minion.
Oh. Okay, I do not remember that. A street cat. That's pretty straightforward. Just a regular old street cat. Interesting. So from what little I did see of everything, or what little I remember, a lot of it was Martybone themed. So right now the current thing is that it's borderline confirmed, basically confirmed. Let's be honest. It's confirmed. It's something Martybone related. I think it's Barkingham challenge mode, is what I saw.
I think it's pretty hilarious, and Meowiardi is summoning like some kind of street cat. That's already goated, but this new minion, based on the notes that were given to me, can use multiple new spells. So this minion can use this new spell. It's called ... which basically extends an overtime that's already on your opponent by 2 turns. And also ... which
what the fuck? ... and ... I mean, I guess it gets the point across. That could actually make it pretty busted, actually. Oh my god. The fact that they're like also like 1 pip as well, basically. Yeah, that's actually kind of busted. It makes for another bit of value for anti-shield, for shield clear, stuff like that. Oh, that's great.
Minion can essentially extend a damage overtime on your opponent by 3 rounds. Now, I cannot stress enough how OP extending a damage over time for that cheap can be. Let's take a spell like King Art, right? Like Myth King Art Top Hat. This is a 3-round damage over time that does 1,000 damage base. Imagine you had a minion extending this over and over again.
Yeah, 1,020 over 3 turns. That's like a little less than 400, I think. Let me think about this. It's about 340 a turn. And then you clear a shield and give yourself a Myth Spear. That's top pad. That's just your box standard PvE version that you can't use in challenge mode. Whereas the challenge mode version on the left there, you're clearing 7 weaknesses and putting on a chromatic trap for every single one. And then you get 2 bomb dots worth 890, which bomb dots are really scary because if the other person doesn't like remove them, do something about them, that hurts at the end of the 5th round.
You could turn basically 1,000 damage into several thousands and thousands of damage with this minion. If this minion spams ... this could actually be one of the coolest minions that they've ever added. I could totally see this being a new way to do damage in PvE using minions, and it might even do more than the traditional feint into a hit, right? Because if you extend a 3-round dot by 3 rounds, that is 100% buff. That is better than a feint. I could totally see new combos where you do a dot, have it extended, and then detonate the extended dot and do even more damage. Basically, this bottom path Meowiarty can summon a ridiculous support minion that has all kinds of crazy utility. Now, the new spell is very, very cool. I think by definition, super utility heavy, very multi-purpose, but Myth is a minion school. This is a minion update. Let's talk now about what every single new minion in the game for Myth does. Now, this is where it gets exciting. If y'all remember in the spring
update, that's right. I forgot. They're not just doing new things. They're updating the old, too. That's something I also forgot. So, like, Golem, like, Cyclops, in the case of Myth, all that stuff. Like, they're even updating the old ones. And from what I remember, these updates are actually kind of big. I'm not gonna lie. But let me remind myself of what that is real quick.
They basically added a 3rd option using spellments called a Pat C. They did this for ranks 1 through 6 spells for every single school. However, there was one very notable exception. Cyclops minion never got a 3rd pat.
Wait, hashtag justice for... What the fuck? Okay, I don't know who Thor is. I might need context, but... I'm sure we'll figure it out soon enough. But let me see. The standard version, summon a minion of between 1 to 4 bits, all that stuff. Okay. I see the potential. And then... Wait, why is... Huh. Oh, wait. Right now, these are both PvP banned. These are both challenge mode banned. I'm not quite understanding the spell. I might need help with this one. So, yeah, if you're a Mythbane, please help me. Please help me understand.
I don't think they knew what they were going to do with this minion, so they just decided, I guess, not to do anything. But now, we have a new triple pat side.
Here's the new version. So I guess the other one that we just now saw was the current. This is the new. So there's... Wait. They're not banned in advanced content anymore? Oh, God. I was like, where's the crossed out sword thing? Oh, my God. That's going to be insane, actually. Hang on. There's summon a minion for 1 to 4 pips. Probably the higher the pip cost, the better the minion, I'm sure. A double sap. I think sap is like a permanent health decrease, if I remember correctly. Because I'm reacting to these after they all already dropped, so like all 7 are already dropped by the time I started the session, so. But if I remember right, I think that's like a permanent health decrease. But after you do it, you put a 65 chromatic trap and summon a minion. So damn near a chromatic feint, basically. Not quite. It's only 65, not 70, but it's close. You could almost call it a chromatic feint. And then the bottom path is you either summon or you upgrade an already existing one. I'm curious about that, actually. Kaiser Noah, if you're listening, I love you and I need you to help me with these things. Thank you. He's a cool dude, though, Noah. Love that dude.
Cyclops minion, meaning you could use spellments to upgrade down 1, 2, or all 3 of these paths to your liking. Now, I'm starting with the Cyclops minion because this seems to involve 2 brand new mechanics. 2 of these 3 paths involve brand new mechanics that we've never seen in the game. Now, the top path seems to be very, very similar to what we've already had. According to the notes that were given to me, this is going to be a hit-focused minion. Now, right now, if you want a Cyclops minion...
Change in AI behavior. Okay. Hit-focused for the Cyclops.
And it does a variety of things. I'd say it's pretty bad. Now, I'm assuming the top path is just going to specialize in hitting, but that's actually a very, very good thing for most of Arc 1, I would say. But now... the bottom path and the middle path, these are brand new mechanics. I'm going to start with the bottom path because I think I can explain it better. But what this spell is basically saying is you either summon a minion or you could upgrade a Cyclops minion that's already out. So apparently, either you can summon a minion that specializes in damage overtimes, meaning you could summon it and...
yeah, so that's basically what it is you summon a minion or you upgrade an already existing one to bring out an even better minion. Which I guess the first version is dot focused. 6 spells in its deck, it looks like. If I remember, I think he's going to cover the fact that these spells are not random. Like, it's like 6 dedicated spells, and once they run through them all, they'll eventually leave. Unless they're killed before then.
And you could use all kinds of things and give up over time, right? Myth has a steady supply of spells like this, right? Let's say that you summon the new bottom path Cyclops minion. You could give up the damage over time that he uses for traps. You get shield. You could even use a spell that gives up 3 damage over times to do 1700 damage base. Basically,
oh god, I can combo with an Oni. Oh no. Oh no. This man's really saying, hey, that Cyclops you just summoned, yeah, he can literally set up Trickster Odie Gambit. Yeah, that'd be cracked. I'm not gonna lie.
The bottom path just spams damage over times. Now, let's say that you were to upgrade a Cyclops minion that's already out, then apparently it's supposed to...
oh. So it basically just gives it bubbles as well as dots. Okay. Depending on the cost of the pips, I'm not sure why adding a global could justify a 2 rank increase. Because, like, unless this dude can use it a couple of times before dying and kind of help bubble fight when you're deck failing, otherwise, I don't really see how you could get 2 whole ranks and maybe even increase the cost of the summon for a bubble. Unless they can bubble fight.
Also add globals to the mix. Globals, we're talking about bubbles. So you can either get a dot minion or a bubbling and dotting minion. Kind of cool considering the fact that bubbles are pretty much the best thing a minion can ever cast. And now we're gonna have ways to basically guarantee pretty much, I'm assuming, to get a bubble from a minion by, I guess, upgrading an already existing Cyclops minion with this new...
Now for PvE, that actually is pretty insane. Especially if you're fighting stuff that doesn't really bubble or doesn't cast it often. But if you're doing like PvP, advanced content where things might bubble fight, that's where it gets a little questionable, I would say. But for standard PvE, that's cracked.
Bottom path, I think that would be the best approach. It does seem to be asking a lot to summon a minion and then upgrade it all to just get an extra bubble added on. My feedback right away, make an upgrade mechanic way, way better than this, right? If you have to put all the pips to put out a minion and upgrade it, I want to see more of a difference between a minion that just damage over times, and a minion that just bubbles and also damage over time. Right, according to the notes that they gave me, that's the only difference between a regular Cyclops minion bottom path and an upgraded one. This upgrade mechanic is sick. I would love if you could use this on any minion that's out in the game. I want to upgrade Golem minions, Troll minions.
I think one thing that I kind of wish they did, at least so far from what I can gather, I kind of wish that the upgraded version kind of had a different behavior entirely. Like, I'm curious about what if the upgraded version was more of a burst hit minion instead of a dot hit. Now, if I ever say burst hit or burst heal, I'm talking about things like actual, like, normal hits, like a troll, a cyclops, or like an Orthrus or something. Just examples, hypothetical. Or like burst heals being like Satyr, Fairy. You get it. You know where I'm going.
I don't believe that's what this spell does. I think it's just Cyclops minion. But just imagine if an upgrade mechanic for myths and people that duel into myth could do that. Either way, the fact that this is a mechanic that they're even starting off with is crazy. We're looking at minion utilities, the likes of which we've never seen. Now that brings us to the other major new utility that is involved in the Cyclops minion. So the new middle path of Cyclops minion
I'm curious about if I'm right about Sap.
And it can do it up to 2 times. Now basically, Sap, all it basically is, it takes away some HP from your minion, but what's very, very important to note, it's quite permanent. In fact, they even have a new health bar UI that looks like this, where basically...
There it is. So let me read through this real quick. I know he's going to explain it, but I just want to interpret it for myself first. So red equals current. So he's at about there. Gray is current max health, meaning this is the most he can be healed for, is up to there. And then these 2 boxes here that are black, you can no longer access on this particular life of this minion. So yeah, so Sap is basically you're taking permanent health. So keep that in mind. So let's say the minion starts off with full red, right? Because you just got summoned. When they take damage, any injured health that they lost will be gray. And then once you use Sap, the black boxes represent damage that can no longer be healed. So yeah, you really want to be careful with how you do things with that. You can get some serious benefits from it, but there could also be plays where you literally sacrifice your own minion via sapping to get a benefit for yourself. It's happened before with the old systems, and I'm sure with this it'll happen again.
The black would be all the health that you sapped away. The gray is their now current max health because sapping reduces the max health of the minion. And the red on this new UI is, I guess, the minion's current health. Now, the way this sap mechanic works, you can sap minions more the higher the rank that they are. So you could only sap...
Okay. So this is how it kind of works. In case you guys are having a hard time reading it or understanding how it's being written, or if you happen to have a hard time understanding how he says it, each rank of the minion represents how many saps it takes to kill them. Meaning, a rank 1 minion cannot survive a sap. 1 sap kills them. A rank 2 minion can survive 1 sap, and the second one kills them. A rank 3 minion can survive 2, and the third one kills them. So it's not how many they can survive necessarily, it's how many it would take to kill them, is essentially what it is. So like a rank 7 minion, it would take 7 saps to kill him, is basically what it's telling us.
Sap a rank 1 minion 1 time before it's literally dead. As in, a rank 1 minion cannot survive a sap. But a rank 2 minion, you can sap it twice before it's dead, and so on and so forth. This new middle path Cyclops minion, it saps up to 2 times. For each sap that you do, you get a 65% trap based on your school. So if a myth were to use this, they get a myth trap, but let's say a fire were to duel.
Oh, yep. Okay, I do see why he said it's for himself. The arrow pointing like that. Okay, hard to see like on a small screen, but in my case where I got a whole monitor, yeah, I could see it. So the chromatic trap is in favor of the caster. So it's like if a myth uses it, it'll be myth. If it's a fire, it'll be fire. If a death is using it, it'll be death. You get the point.
in the myth and use this, you would basically sap a minion.
This would be busted out of balance, by the way, because because a lot of balance traps are all universal. So, in a way, a balance could use this to buff somebody else, if that's how it's gonna work.
And get fire traps. I mean, 65% traps are crazy, but I cannot wait to see what happens when you sap even more than twice, what other things you get in exchange for sapping. Yet another crazy new mechanic. Upgrading and sapping, brand new mechanics. Now, the one thing I'll say about the new middle path of Cyclops minion is that it seems to summon a minion after sapping, which means really you would want to use this middle path on a minion that you don't even care about, because you're literally about to replace it with the actual spell.
That's actually a fair point, now that I think about it. So it's like you could summon like a small minion to do things, and then when you're ready to kill it, you could use this version. You could use this spell to kill the smaller minion that you only wanted in the short term, to then bring out your more long-term minion.
Right? It's a sap and summon. So to summarize the new Cyclops minion, you're basically going to want to use the top path just to summon a minion. You're going to want to use the bottom path to upgrade a minion ideally. And you're going to want to use the middle path to get rid of a minion that you don't really care about while summoning a new one, and also getting bonus things using this new sap mechanic. So 3 different paths for 3 different things. Kind of impressive.
Yeah, that's actually pretty insane. Now that does make a very intensive spell limit farm. So if you guys want to test out these things, you got a lot of farming to do. And I'm going to assume, because of what we've seen, that this Barkingham challenge mode that we all pretty much feel like we know it is probably going to be the place where these drop.
Considering this used to be just a minion spell, I can't wait to see what people do with this in PvE and PvP. Now, that is not all, y'all. Y'all might have noticed at the beginning of this video, I said every single minion is getting changed. They started that in the spring
you
update.
did.
Every minion is now going to be different. So I have notes for what's changing with every single minion. Essentially, they're going to only be able to do a limited number of cards, basically. They should have more optimal
There
AI.
yep.
They should be a little...
That's what I thought it was. Optimal AI and a limited deck. So it's like, if they have 6 spells, it's not going to just, randomly pick one of those 6 spells every turn constantly. They only have that many spells total. It's total. It's not how many cards that they happen to know in an endless deck. It has an end, and it's basically however many cards they have. So if they learn 6 spells, let's say, they only have 6 turns of activity.
A bit more reliable, but let's go through them. The new Golem minion is...
And each turn, it will always cast a different spell. They'll use every spell they know once before leaving.
It's going to be hit focused. So this is not very different than what the Golem minion right now does.
But never a single spell twice.
It's basically just going to hit. I'm assuming that the hits might have some sort of utility added onto them, or maybe they're just going to be myth hits mostly. But basically, Golem minion, it's always been a super hit heavy minion. Now it's just going to hit, but maybe more reliably, like as in you'll know what hits it's going to do. I don't know if that's going to be better or worse. I kind of like the Golem minion is always and infinitely hitting. Maybe that sounds broken, but I don't know. I liked how this felt to me. So it could be a nerf. I honestly don't want it to be a nerf. We'll see when this hits test room. I'll be testing out all of these minions. Now, the troll minion is going to specialize in harmful wards, a fancy word for traps. So depending on the rank that you summon, you can summon with 1 pip, a 1 pip minion, or 3 pips, a 3 pip troll minion. It'll basically do, I guess, different types of traps, maybe more potent traps the higher the rank that it is. But basically a trap focus minion. Yeah. I really like that they're doing that, because right now, I will say this, the troll minion...
Now, when it comes to those traps, obviously we don't know much yet, but I'm still curious, what traps are they talking about? Are we talking about just like myth trap? Are we talking like a 50? Are we talking like a 50? Are we talking like the 65? What are we talking about? Like a myth feint? I don't know what we're gonna get from that, but I am very curious, and I will be peeping my myth mains that I happen to know when it comes to all this information as we get it. Because as an ice main, I'm gonna be helping test the ice point of view of everything. I won't really be able to help that much with the myth point of view. So yeah, To anyone who knows me as the ice main, once we get to the ice section, I might end up going on too damn long about that section. Because, yeah, I know too much about that school.
Minion that you get for giving up.
Only reason why the myth section here is kind of long is because it's a long video, because since it's a minion update, that's myth's literal, like, half of their identity, so they're bound to get the most shit, you know?
Up a damage over time is absolutely busted. This is also, as you can see by the symbols on this card, a trap focused minion. It traps like crazy, but you're not always going to want to go through the trouble of putting a dot on your opponent just to give it up to summon a minion. So they're going to upgrade Troll Minion to also do that. And depending on how many pips you put into it, we might get some very, very good traps. I'm very hopeful about this one. The next minion that Myth gets is Minotaur Minion. Apparently,
I forgot Minotaur existed as a minion. Again, not a myth main. Let me see. Tight shield and Minotaur attack. Okay.
it's going to be focused on countering shield. Helpful wards, as these notes say, they're just shields.
I'm gonna guess this is stuff like the Meow card, stuff like that. Or maybe even some utility cards that just kill shields and give something. I don't know. Because there are some of those like advanced combat cards that you could train, and I'm assuming this minion knows those.
It can also apparently cast Minotaur at some point, so I'm assuming that we're gonna see a lot of turning shields into stuff.
In a way, this would actually counter ice as well. This basically just put Myth in a conversation, if they weren't there already, to people to fight ice now because of the Minotaur minion, knowing that it's anti-shield. So keep that in mind if you're an ice main. I know I keep talking about ice a lot. That's my main, and that's gonna be the school that this channel represents the most. Probably a little bit of death down the road too, but mostly ice right now. So yeah, for anyone who's looking for ice school information, if it's not Cornboard Tech, which I love those guys, or if it's not like Ice Gold, shout out to him, by the way, Ice Gold, one of my goats, one of my brothers. Yeah, I'm also here to represent the ice school as well, so there you go.
That could be very, very useful depending on what boss you're talking about. I don't like that it counters shields with whatever utility, but also has Minotaur, because if it turns shields into anything that's supposed to help you, then a Minotaur is just going to take it up. Right, I'm thinking like it turns shields into traps maybe, but then if it's just going to Minnow,
that may be a fair
I don't know if
point.
there's going to be synergy there, but I do like the idea of a shield countering Minotaur minion. Talos is going to be a blade AoE minion. Now, Talos...
So Talos is basically your standard stack and spec. Okay. Fair enough then.
I wouldn't say that it's a very, very used minion right now in Live Realm, but I'll say this. The fact that this is going to not be banned in PvP might just be a banger in itself. All of these are going to be allowed across the board,
with them
PvP
unbanning
and
minions
PvE.
from advanced combat.
I can't wait to see that ugly.
Yeah, with them unbanning these from advanced combat and PvP, that's going to change a lot of things in this game. But that's going to change challenge modes in PvP the most. It won't really change raids at all because there's already full teams for that. But for like challenge modes, if you don't have like a team of 4 already, this could fill in. And same thing for PvP, since right now PvP has been a thing of one-on-one for a while. Like team PvP hasn't really existed in a long time. Like even when I was out of the game, checking in here and there, I hadn't seen Team PvP in easily years.
The ugly symbol off of my favorite minion. I used to summon this in PvP. That could be very cool. That being said, it blades and AoEs. Does it blade itself? Does it blade you? That's the big question. Maybe more of a PvE central.
I'm gonna guess that the Talos blading is probably gonna be whoever the minion feels like at the time, just like it already does. I don't think it's going to specify guarantee blade you all the time, but I also don't think it's going to guarantee blade itself all the time either. I think it's just going to be like that kind of, it'll just blade whoever it feels like it always does.
Trick angle, especially depending on how powerful these blades and hits from Talos are. These minions can come with stats, so that could actually be a big deal in PvE. Here's something that I never thought they would do. They're also updating the Vasanji minion. Now, I never trained the spell on...
What is... I remember this existed, but I don't know its behavior.
But this is a minion that you can summon. Learn it from a Zafaria quest. These were all but abandoned, but now...
Oh, it's a Zafaria thing? Okay. Again, myth stuff.
it looks like Visanji is going to specialize in traps and hits. So Talos, Blades, and
traps.
AoEs. Visanji's more of a trap into the hit type of thing, so you have options. The beloved Yaga/Hex House spell is going to have a minion that's apparently supposed to be very anti-weakness. If you have weaknesses on yourself and you're not trying to deal with them, the new Baba Yaga minion might deal with. Now, the one thing I'll say...
The egg minion. I was like, wait, what? I forgot about the freaking egg. Oh my god.
About a minion from Yaga being anti-weaknesses, you have to hit in order to summon this minion, right? It's a hit and minion. So isn't the hit itself gonna deal with some weaknesses? That being said, if there's any weakness heavy strategies that you're going against in PvP or any sort of thing like that in PvE, it might actually be like a guaranteed weakness clearing type of minion. Could be very, very cool. And finally, even Golem Taunt is getting an update this summer. Basically, this spell, if y'all didn't know how this worked, this has basically not been usable in any real scenario for a long time. But right now, you use this to enchant a Golem minion and add 750 health to it. Now, if you were to do this to a Golem minion and summon like a really powerful one, it just spams Taunt. That's about it. And if y'all don't know, Taunt means that your enemy has to hit you. Now, apparently, the new Golem Taunt...
One thing to keep in mind is, as much potential as that sounds like it has, AoEs from an enemy would still counter the taunt, because AoEs, it doesn't matter. Especially if it's like an actual like full-on standard PvE AoE. Like, it straight up doesn't matter. Like, that's how you counter taunt, it's just hit an AoE. That's basically it. It's that simple.
Is gonna taunt, but also it's gonna hit after, which could be really, really cool. I think a taunt mechanic that's reliable is a very, very big deal. I've used that from the Storm minion, and it's literally saved my life in PvE. But all in all, y'all, there are some major takeaways. A, there's a brand new Meowiardi spell that has insane amounts of utility, whether you're talking about top path or bottom path. B, we got new Cyclops minion with 2 brand new mechanics, Upgrade minion and Sap Health. And C, this might be the biggest part of this update for every single school. Every single minion in the game is gonna have different AI, it's going to be specialized, and it's going to be allowed across the board. No more PvP bans to confuse it. I'll say this about the minion update in the spring.
Yeah, that's going to be quite the change.
There were some minions that were really, really good and some that weren't. I think the ones that were spamming traps, like Cyclops, I want to say, and Trolls specifically, those were nothing but gigantic W's. I think there were some lackluster minions here and there. What I'm really, really hoping is if they're committing to this direction, they're still open to feedback on how to make all of these minions at least usable in some scenarios. That's what I'm hoping to see. I'm very, very optimistic about some of these. I have a feeling the Troll minion, Talos, and Visanji, the ones that basically either trap or blade, but also might hit a little bit, I think those are going to be really, really good, which is amazing, because I don't think those were even in the convo as a myth wizard. But I'd love to hear y'all's thoughts.
Yeah,
hopefully I explained all the brand new mechanics well. I'm very excited about this, y'all, but don't forget, I'm not the only one that was given exclusive teasers to share with the community. They did post this on their Twitter. Turn on noties.
Yeah, big shout out to all the content creators, by the way.
So you don't miss any of the teasers. I'll also be sharing my thoughts on Turn on noties here. Hopefully y'all loved this video. Let me know all of y'all's thoughts on every single myth spell teaser upcoming in the summer update. I look forward to reading all of y'all's thoughts. And as always, if somebody hasn't told you're awesome today, they doing something wrong. Stay awesome, y'all. See y'all soon. And yeah.
And that's pretty much that. So that was the myth section, and it was long. But to be fair, when you're talking about a minion update, myth was bound from the very beginning to probably get the most stuff, knowing that that's like half of their identity. Because I always say that myth has 2 identities: minions and anti-shield. Although with fire becoming that as well, they kind of had to figure out other stuff for myth to do too. So yeah, overall myth is an interesting school, but now we get to move on. Shout out AwesomeTheSauce, by the way, for giving us the tea on the myth school as the myth school representative for this series of teasers that we got this time around. Of course, now we get to talk about this man This is Ultimate Speedster. And here today, he is representing the Fire School. So now that we got the midsection done, we are now going to touch on Fire and see what Fire has to offer. This one is much shorter, only just over 5.5 minutes. So we're going to go ahead and see what Speedster got to talk about and got to show. Shout out Speedster, by the way. Really cool dude. Check out his channel. I'll leave all the channels in the description, probably above all the chapters somewhere. But if you want to skip to a certain school, the chapters will be there in the order of not only when they came on in this video, but also I'm reacting to these in the order that they dropped. So Sauce dropped first, Speedster dropped second. You get the point. But let's talk about Fire, shall we?
What is up, guys? It's your boy Ultimate Speedster, and welcome back to another Wizard101 video. Man, we got some crazy news today. Shout out to King Zal for giving me this news to present to y'all. I really appreciate the opportunity. And we got some fire spells we got to go over. We got some new Minion update we got to go over. And we are going to get started into it right now. But before we do, make sure you like, subscribe, and tap that notification bell to keep up with the crispy, clean content. And if you got any questions...
Two things, by the way, before we get into it. One, I love that so far all the content creators seem to have been able to present this stuff in their own style of editing and recording. I like how they weren't stuck with like a certain presentation style that they might not have been comfortable with. I like how they got to do it their own way. So high respect to King Zal for allowing them to do it in their own image. But on top of that, Speedster's just a cool dude. And Fire's actually the newest school that I started as a character. I have 6 wizards right now, but they're all like babies. Except for like kind of one of them who's like borderline teenager sitting in Avalon right now, which is Storm. But Fire's my youngest one right now, so I'm curious what we got to see for Fire.
Feel free to join the Discord down below. And without further ado, let's get started. Now, the first thing I want to go over is this new Minion update, which is overhauling the whole system of minions in a crazy way. Now, with this update, it
also love the Marty Bone music. One of my favorite parts of the soundtrack in the game. It's like maybe top 3 or 4. My number one, admittedly, being Grizzleheim and Wintertusk. I'm kind of biased towards Norse mythology, but let's be honest, you all knew that. You literally look at my channel and you just already know.
It tells that minion stats will now scale to your level, spell behavior is more specialized and predictable, and minions will automatically be able to leave the combat zone after they use all their cards. You'll be able to tell how many cards they got based on a floating number they'll have over their head, for example.
Oh, that's
before
notable.
They leave combat, so you know how much they got left in their tank before they just automatically leave you. So another thing I want to announce is that if you want to learn ice minions or storm minions because they're so good or have good utilities and want to mix spells or whatever, you can absolutely do that because they'll be trainable through Ravenwood or the Arcanum. They're also
really? I thought that you had to spell them at off schools. At least that's what I thought. But if you could train them through the regular schools, that could put a big twist on stuff. Because, like, if you don't have to, or, I mean, you still would have to farm spell limits, which I assume would be in Barkingham, is my guess. But I thought that just getting the base spells, you would have had to get spell limits for the off schools. Or maybe even the main school. That's what I thought. We'll figure it out in Test Realm, because from what I heard, we don't got long to wait.
Unbanned now from advanced combat, and each minion has improved AI and updated spells to make them more reliable in combat, so they're stronger. With all of this, you're also getting a new spell called Minion Reshuffle, which is basically a dedicated reshuffle for minions, which can basically
Minion Reshuffle. Wait. So I do know that means that they can just, you know, it resets their cycle so to where they can cast all their stuff again. But can you not use a normal reshuffle on them anymore? Or are you stuck using the Minion Reshuffle on the minion because this card is out or coming out now? Did this just ban normal shuffles for being used on a minion? I might need to get answers on that.
Set and kind of like a resummon for them to basically refill all their spells that they kind of used before. Next, what we got is a new mechanic called Sap. Now, Sap is a new mechanic which basically takes a portion of the minions' health based on their rank. Minions now will be ranked 1 through 7, 7 being the highest.
Yeah, it makes sense. So now that we've heard the Sap thing twice now because we reacted to these all at once, I assume that some of the notes we're going to get in here, everybody had to cover. And it makes sense in a way, not necessarily to drill it in people's head. I know that's not the intention, but because each school is going to be different and people main different schools, some people might more care about the fire stuff than they would the myth stuff, or somebody might care about the life stuff more than the storm stuff, or somebody might care about the ice stuff more than the death stuff. I care the most about ice. And so there's going to be certain schools that I didn't necessarily look too deep into because I don't play them, really. So there's that. And that's just something you got to keep in mind. And which is also part of why I'm doing every single teaser video in one go. Is because I will forget to do, like, if I do 1 or 2, I will forget to do the rest. So that's why I'm doing them all in one go. It's literally just to make sure my memory stays good enough to literally do all 7, because I don't want to like do 1 or 2 and then just forget the other 5.
1 being the lowest. For a rank 1 minion, they'll be defeated after only 1 sap, but they're like 2 ranks, so they're like rank 2. You can sap them twice and they won't die after 1 sap, and so on and so forth. So sap reduces both the current and max health, meaning.
So yeah, so that's why you might hear some repeated information, because they're representing that school, meaning they're technically like catering to a different section of the game. So Speedster is right now having to cater to the fire mains of the game.
Meaning that this damage cannot be healed. I'll show you a little picture of the new health bar UI that they're going to display in the game. You see red is the current health, system. Gray is the current max health, and black is the original health before, you know, the sap happened. A couple additional notes are like minions, manipulation spells remain banned and unchanged. Minions from treasure cards and gear cards will be updated in the future patch, and henchmen are not minions. So the ones you get in the bazaar are different than actual minions. I
assume the Crown Shop henchmen also don't count for this update either. So anything that we're already familiar with on them would still stick at this time.
Are identified by green name plates in combat. So with all that said about the new SAP system, we got to analyze what that means in the future aspects of Wizard101 and how to deal with minions and so on and so forth and using them. So with the new overhaul, we got to see how that affects the fire minions that we currently have in the game. As we know, fire currently has 2 minions, known as Fire Elemental being one of them, and Sir Lamarok as the second one that we have, which is a higher rank. Now, Fire Elemental will be now considered rank 4, and it'll have 4 spells over 6 rounds, and it'll basically behave on alternating between dots and hots. So it'll cast spells like Fire Elf, you know, Link, and probably other spells, you know, depending on the rank and going up there. Now, to do scale with your level, I'm curious if it would honestly have Fire Dragon in the higher ranks.
Wait, they scale with a... Oh, that alone makes them worth at least talking about. Oh my god. Because it's like, if we would have gotten the ones... Because, like, if they were still sticking to their current, like, general power level, generally, then it wouldn't have been super notable. But if they're scaling to our level, making it to where, like, a level 180 wizard getting a massive fucking fire elemental, oh, that's worth noting. That actually puts these minions into conversation just off of that alone. At least in the conversation.
But I'm not too sure, to be honest. But I do think it has the capacity to cast Scold when it gets up there in rank, because it do scale with you. So I do think Scold will be an option for them to have in their utility. Now, for Sir Lamarok, they'll be considered rank 6 now, and Fire Elemental is rank 4. So Sir Lamarok, the Avalon one, is considered rank.
I think the only question when it comes to their ranks now is, does this change their pip costs to summon to match their rank? Because if so, then yeah, this does increase the price, the pip price. This does make it where you have to use that extra pip to do it. But if you already have perfect pip chance, it doesn't really hurt anything, because if you're going from 3 pips to 4 pips and 5 pips to 6 pips, you're still using the same amount of power pips if you have that perfect pip chance. So it doesn't really change anything in that perspective. Now, if you don't have perfect pip chance and you do pip fail here and there, then it might kind of hurt things. But if you have perfect pip chance, the 1 pip increase might not change anything for you.
Rank 6, it'll have 6 spells, and its behavior will be based on traps and hits. So it'll be using
because you got to think about the actual pip value and knowing how to be efficient with your pips, especially if you're doing advanced combat.
Stuff like Fuel, Phoenix, Elephant, so on and so forth, and useful stuff like that. And with that being said, we also got a new spell. First, I want to show you the new spell animation KI has given me. Check this out.
All right, let's see it. Wait, who is that again? Is that... Oh, is that Dr. Jackal?
So what it is called Jackal and Hound, and it has 2 paths, Path A and Path B.
Ah, yep. Dr. Jackal and Mr. Hound from Barkingham, yep. So far, yeah. If this is your first video of watching these teasers, which I highly doubt, but I'll definitely appreciate it if it is. But yeah, if you've seen the trend, or if you haven't, we're seeing Marleybone themed actual spells of these, which is where everyone thought Barkingham. And from the looks of things online on Twitter, yeah, we are 100% probably getting Barkingham Palace challenge mode.
B, its base form is 170 fire damage, and it pushes the trap to the enemy. And for Path A, it does...
For 2 pips, that's not bad, actually. A decent hit. Actually, that damage is actually not bad. And it's all at once, too. It's a burst hit. And it pushes a trap to them. Depending on who you're fighting, that could be insane value, because what if somebody faints you? You know? That has some insane potential.
Does the same thing.
And then bottom path is basically just a slightly weaker hit. A singular sap in favor of getting a fire trap. Okay.
But it goes up in damage from 175 to 190, being its maxed out version. And Path B is different, because if you pay attention to this card as you see it, it says 155 fire damage, sap the enemy's minion.
Wait. Oh, that's a beneficial sap, kinda. Actually, yeah, that is a beneficial sap, because you're sapping an enemy minion to put the trap. Oh, that's big brain. The question is, does the trap go on who takes the hit, or does it go on the minion who took the sap?
For a trap of 40% fire trap, right?
I assume the trap is gonna go on the person that takes the hit.
It's really cool. So as you see, sap can be used in an offensive way. It don't got to be used in a defensive way, for example. Now for AwesomeTheSauce video, which I also linked down in the description below, because you already went over Myth, make sure you check it out. I think his is more defensive, but as you see, fire here is more of an offensive sap. So you see they're utilizing it in both ways, and you also affect the enemy's minions, which I think is a really cool thing that you can do.
Yeah, that actually adds a lot to the dynamic, because it's like, looking at sap, it mostly was looking like you give up a portion of that minion's health of your own to then get a benefit. It's basically minion health gambit is really what it is.
And you can utilize that to capitalize on your enemies. Let me know what you think about this content, guys. I'm really excited to see all this stuff get released. And make sure you stay tuned for multiple stuff coming out over this past week.
Yeah,
because
big
we got
shout out
tons
to
of content
Speedster
coming out from different content creators based on the different schools.
Yeah, big shout out to Speedster. And congratulations to all 7 creators who were chosen to represent the respective schools for these teasers. Big shout out to my boy Speedster. What's the next school here? Looks like we got the Life one next, which one of my favorite people in the entire world got to do this one. Genevieve Moongarden. We love Genevieve around here. Genevieve, if you are seeing this, we love your girly pie. We love your girly pop. But she represents the Life School today in terms of these like summer update spell teasers. And this one's just over 6.5 minutes, a little longer than Speedsters, but way shorter than Sauce. To be fair, Sauce had Myth, and that was bound to happen, so let's see what Genevieve got to cover.
Welcome back, everyone, to the third teaser for the Summer 2026 update. Big thanks to KI and especially Emma, Jules, and Cam for answering my hundreds of questions. I just wanted to make sure I had the most accurate and up-to-date information for you all. Another huge overhaul for Minions is about to take place. In spring 2026, we got our first look at the Minion revamps. In that update, the Minions they added to the game or had changed now scale with your wizard's level. Spell behavior and spell count is now set, and the Minions leave after casting all their spells.
I wonder if the reason why they banned Minions for all that time was because they wanted them to be away from advanced combat and PvP while working on this. Or if they thought that the other way that they ran just didn't fit the vision of advanced combat altogether. Somebody might know the answer to that, and whoever knows the answer will definitely tell me.
But now, all trained Minions, every school's Minions, have gotten their update. They're no longer banned in PvP and advanced combat, and they're getting their spells updated, which will make them more predictable in battles. Also, and this is huge, players can train any other school's Minions through those trainers in Ravenwood and the Arcanum. Minions will now have 2 new features as well. The first is a new mechanic called Sap. Mechanics are those bonus effects you see on cards other than the base effect. Sap removes a portion of the minion's health based on its rank. Minions have ranks 1 through 7 now. A rank 1 minion can be defeated after 1 sap. Rank 2 minions can be defeated after 2 saps. Minions can be defeated by any combo of hits and saps. When a minion is...
Good on Genevieve, by the way, making that part clear about the rank versus sap thing, where their rank dictates how many saps it takes to kill them. Very good on Genevieve to make that point clear, because it was kind of confusing at first.
Sapped, its current max health goes down, and that cannot be healed back. There will be a brand new health bar display for minions in battles as well. The red is the minion's current health, the gray bar shows the current max health, and the black bar is the minion's original health before being sapped. I believe this image shows a rank 7 minion that has had 2 saps. The black bars only show after a minion has been sapped. Wizards can also learn a new spell, Minion Reshuffle. This new spell is only for using on minions in battles. It will act just like if you cast a regular reshuffle on yourself or...
Yeah, like obviously you can't use a minion reshuffle on yourself. That wouldn't make sense. I still wonder if a normal reshuffle can be used on these new minions, or if it has to be the minion one that's coming out. We'll figure that out.
An ally. It refreshes all of your minions' casts back to the beginning as if it were resummoned. However, just like with regular shuffle, the minion must still be active in combat, so keep an eye on the overhead turn counter and cast it before they leave combat.
Yeah, I assume when it says like they only have 1 spell left on the last turn when they cast the spell, I assume that's the turn you have to use it, because if you try and shuffle them during the leave combat turn, it probably doesn't work, because they're still going to cast the turn. If they cast the leave thing.
The last thing to note is that older minion manipulation spells will not be affected by this change and are still banned from PvP and advanced combat. Examples of those spells would be Sap Power, Steal Health, and Drain Health. Minions from...
I forgot about these existing, not gonna lie. But honestly, I don't mind this because these saps were not really all that useful. Maybe even borderline useless. So, yeah, I don't blame them for not really utilizing them, because they don't really have much value as it is.
From treasure cards and item cards will not be updated right now, but are planned for a future patch. Those include cool but rarely used minions like the Brandons, Road Warrior Pack minions like Kemek Brul, Blearg, Caruso, and Osokawa Tama.
I forgot about those minions. Holy Thank you, Genevieve. I feel old now. Oh my god.
Hand of Doom minions like Crocopatra, Meowiardi, and Jade Oni. Some item card minions would include Ophidians summoned with the Gorgon's Bane gear, or Vanderborst from the Rude Goblin pet. I am very excited to show
the only reason why I know about that minion, this minion one from this card, is literally because I have this pet. Because it literally fits with my resist build's freaking build because of the set bonus for the pet. So, yeah, that's how I knew about this card existing. I don't use it, but I could. And if I was weaving into Myth, hypothetically, this minion could get some use, and plus the wand that I'm using for the set bonus 2 has Myth damage on it too, a little bit of Myth stats. So if I was weaving into Myth, then this stuff would matter to me more, but it's all for the set bonus. That's how I happen to know about that minion and this root goblin existing, because I'm using these for a set bonus. Which, if you haven't seen the resist build that I'm referring to, go check that out in the channel. I'll probably link that down somewhere too. Somewhere like way below everybody else's stuff, because their stuff's more important right now. But yeah, you'll see the root goblin and the wand there.
I am very excited to show you an all-new upcoming spell for the Life School based off of the world of Marleybone. The devs can't say right now how we'll be acquiring this spell or the spell elements for upgrading it, but seeing as how they don't require school pips, meaning
yeah, when she dropped hers, this was during a time where we didn't really know where this stuff was gonna go. Now we pretty much do, because again, this reaction is coming out after all 7 teasers have already dropped. As I'll be reacting to these in real time. At least real time for me, anyway. So yeah, keep that in mind. And so that's why we all think it's gonna be Barkingham, because where they used Aquila for these spells, that's what we're thinking Marleybone for these like new attacks that we're getting.
they aren't lore spells. They're more like the new Aquila spells that we got last time, and those drop in challenge mode dungeons in Aquila. So my prediction is that
yeah, and that's where it pretty much borderline got confirmed without even having to wait for all 7 teasers to drop, that it was probably going to be Barkingham.
we're getting challenge mode dungeons added to Marleybone. This new spell is called Whiplash. Let's take a look.
Great Metallica song, by the way. Let me back it up, though, so I don't interrupt the animation.
Marleybone. This new spell is called Whiplash. Let's take a look.
Ooh, okay.
Whiplash.
I'm not gonna lie, I look at this card, and I just... there's a certain, like, semi-southern accent I like to put when I'm thinking of an anime character named Jack Hanma from Baki. Like, this guy's face and just structure literally gives, get your ass on the ground, boy.
Tier 1 puts 2 deferred damage that equal 370 life damage, so 185 each, on one target that detonate after 4 rounds. Upgrading along the top path A increases the damage amount. Upgrading on the bottom path B will lower the life damage to 330, but this is a single deferred damage that will detonate after 4 rounds. It also has the added mechanic of sapping an enemy minion up to 2 times for a 30% life blade for the caster.
Yeah, let me read these real quick. So 2 bomb dots, it's pretty standard for 3 pips. The damage is passable, it's not bad. I think that's actually kind of comparable to Seraph, even. I think that's Seraph damage for 3 pips, so that's not bad. As for the bottom path, sap twice, and you get a blade for each. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. You're sapping enemy minion, though. You're not sapping friendly.
Because this is a conditional effect, you cannot sharpen that blade, but you can increase the damage of the hit. Life's
Yeah, you can damage enchant the hit. So keep that in mind.
learned minion spells have all been changed with this update. Sprite Swarm, currently in live, you have to have a DOT effect, then cast Sprite Swarm to heal, and then it will summon a rank 1 Sprightly Essence.
Right. We love big, thick boy Rhino. Look at these guys being all thick and girthy, man. Like, god damn.
For 3 pips, a minion with 45 health is really just a joke. It only has
Yeah, that's horrible. That's literally a freaking... Okay, who remembers those starting pets that you used to get in Wizard City with the will cast hits? I think those were the only cards that did less than 65 damage other than like wands. Yeah, there's like starting wand hits and then the freaking will cast hits on a starting pet back in the day were like the only things that could do less than 65 damage, and it would still one-shot this thing.
4 spells: Imp, Triage, Brilliant Light, and Sprite. Honestly, anything.
Oh, and Imp, too. I forgot Imp. There's Dark Sprite, which is 65, Frost Beetle, yeah. Actually, I think Frost Beetle might have been 55 at minimum. I'll have to look. I'm an Iceman. I don't know why I don't know
At
that.
this point will be an improvement. This new version is still a rank 1. It only has 2 spells and they'll counter DOTs. Triage is most likely one of those because it removes an entire DOT. Very handy. Right now, only life wizards can learn Triage, but there are treasure card versions for non-life wizards to use. Similarly, there's a new storm spell called Intervention that can remove 2 DOTs, maybe a higher.
Yeah, that's kind of busted, actually. This would be weird, not gonna lie, if they had to give intervention to a life minion just to have that utility. So I don't know if they're gonna give them the storm spell here to do that, or if they're gonna create like a life version of it. We'll have to find out.
Rank Sprightly Essence can cast that. We'll have to see, but really, unless, you know, the battle has a DOT caster, wouldn't this minion just sit there and do nothing? I sure hope not. Sprite Guardian.
Yeah, that would be true. Like, you'd have to be fighting, like, somebody that does a lot of dots, like a Pendragon or something. Just as an example.
First of 2 minion-only spells Life learns. Currently, for 3 pips, you get Forest Sprite, another rank 1 minion with only 350 health, but it has an impressive 11 spells it can cast, if it can stay alive to use them all. Good defense, heals, as well as Life Blade, Healing Global, and hits. This new one is a rank 4, will have 6 spells and focus on heals and heal over time. Probably using Sprite, Satyr, Pixie at low level, plus potentially Regenerate or
Yeah, that would be insane if they get burst heals too. Because like the current Sprite Guardian can use burst heals, but it's actually quite rare and usually poorly timed. We'll have to see how this goes. Like maybe if you're about to die, you feel like you're getting cooked, you summon this minion, and then they just spam heal the shit out of you and then leave.
Rebirth at higher ranks, I'm guessing. And finally, Sir Bedivere. Yes, you have to say it like that.
Bedivere. Oh, god damn it, Jed.
Currently costs 5 pips and is rank 7 with 1700 health, also boasting an impressive outgoing life damage boost as well as life resist. This baddie badger has an impressive 13 spells that include defensive and offensive spells, boosts, and heals. This new one is only rank 6, has only 6 spells, and now focuses on blades and hits, which I can't wait to see which ones they've got. I don't know if our level 75 minions will be getting back access to their lore spells or not, but I'm excited to test these all out. Also, if you recall, most of the new minions from the spring update had special spells that were created just for them. I hope these will all get the same. This is really exciting times, I think, for people who like to use minions like myself. We've already seen teasers for the Myth School and the Fire School. The links are in the description. Be sure to check those out. There's a lot more teasers coming from awesome content creators, so make sure to check them all out to get hyped for the summer 2026 update. And if you have never used a minion spell or think they're absolute trash, you know, test them out. You might find that you like them. Let me know which one of these you're most excited for, and we will see y'all in the next one. Bye-bye.
Hell yeah. Shout out to Genevieve Moongarden. She's been a supporter of us here at Beta Ragnarok as well. I don't know why I'm saying us. Like, I'm literally the only one running the channel. And I'm still trying to, like, you know, find my footing, build a community, all that stuff. But otherwise, big shout out to Genevieve. Big shout out to everybody who's given support and has happily taken support too. We love you. We love everybody. So this one's gonna be a fun one because 2 reasons. 1, this is my main school, ice school. All right, let me back that ass up. There we go. Cornboard Tech is one of my favorite channels. I literally binge these guys behind the scenes too. Like, I'm binging a few channels behind the scenes. I'm binging Cornboard, stuff like that. And of course, I'm always supporting everyone's drops. So yeah, I love these 2 to death. They're like, if I'm ever having a bad day, these 2 always cheer me up. They don't even know. They probably don't even know I exist, and I still appreciate them anyway. but also I happen to main the ice school. That's what this channel is all about. So this section is 10.5 minutes. I might go on some tangents, whether they're positive, whether they're negative. We'll see.
Boar! We have a world premiere today!
He's excited because it's ice adjacent. We have new spells for you, new minions, new spell animation, brand new utility that
Brand new utility!
never existed in the game before. You're going to want to stick around and watch everything we're bringing to you live.
Your fuzzy mittens are going to be blown off, and so are your wool socks, which you use to heat yourself up in the winter, ice-related.
Now, the real question is, Core, what if you're not wearing the gloves and the socks? What if I am barehanded and barefooted?
Socks, clean off, next county over.
Spoiler, I am barehanded and barefooted. Yes, I have bare hands. I have bare claws.
Core, why are we in Marleybone today?
Because we have a brand new Marleybone themed spell to show to the beautiful people watching this video.
We do have a brand new
In which, knowing that it's also Marleybone themed, this continues the whole Marleybone thing. This is probably going to be the last time I cover the fact that it's all going to be Marleybone themed stuff, because it's already happened like 4 times now, and I don't really want to like give y'all a headache over it. So just know all the major Marleybone new spells, yeah, they're all Marleybone themed. Moving forward, even if I don't say anything about it now for the rest of the video, just know that.
spell card to show you, new utility that's separate, never been in the game before, and the new spell animation, which we're going to show you right now with zero tech yapping.
So that was
Basically an ice hooligan.
Rat Stabber, Ice's brand new rank 2 attack spell. You know what it does, Boar? Would you like to know?
Tell me what it does, Core.
Here's a handy dandy graphic somewhere. It's a 2-pip spell.
There it is. Yeah, a small hit and a 40 trap. This is basically replacing frozen bats. Like, if you don't really play ice and you're thinking, is this something completely new? No. In terms of it being trained, yes, but in terms of an actual card existing, no. So Rat Stabber is basically a trained version of Frozen Bats, which is a treasure card. Because Frozen Bats does a little more damage, but the trap is about 5% less. It's like 200 damage or something like that for Frozen Bats, but the trap's only 35, where this is a little bit less, like 70 less damage, but the trap is 5% more powerful on this card, and it's now trained. So now we basically have Frozen Bats, but in the form of a Rat Stabber.
130 damage maxed out, and a 40% trap if you do top path.
It's pretty decent. It's already doing Ice's damage per pip, which is 65-ish.
Which is about nothing.
Yup. And that is why I tell everybody, try out a resist build for ice at some point. Even if you don't end up making it your main build, at least try it. Because that's where ice's value comes in as a school. Like, you're not really going to get its value if you're trying to be a hitter. Like, if you want to be a hitter, the best way to do it is to literally be anybody else.
So you just get a trap extra.
Ice is already doing not a lot of damage with their rank 2. This is made to get rid of a weakness, get rid of a shield on them, a utility breaker, and then 40% trap is a really good conclusion to the spell.
Honestly, this is I could actually glaze this unironically. I'm not just saying this because I'm an.
Yeah, this is a nice utility breaker. Like they were just saying, because it's like, yeah, it's not a big hit, but it's 2 pips. It's a small pip count, small hit. It's literally just there as a utility break or a setup. Not gonna be the thing that gets you a kill under normal circumstances.
Nice man, that rose-tinted glasses. This is a genuinely good spell for what he just said.
Let me pull up the actual rank 2. The weakest Snow Serpent can hit is 155.
Yeah, so looking at this, we're looking at a straight hit. So like Snow Serpent does more damage, but it doesn't have utility. Snow Serpent's other paths, it sacrifices damage to gain other things, but you do have to gambit or give something up to get that. Rat Stabber I like because you don't have to give up anything. It's just a tiny hit to break enemy utility to help you while setting you up for a better hit later with a trap.
The strongest this can hit is 130. That's only 25 difference, and you're getting...
They're also not mentioning too, 155 is the low end of the weakest version. If you max the spell limits for path A, it goes up to 210. So that is an 80 damage difference if you're comparing max to max. It's not 25 if you're comparing max to max. It's actually 80, as you can see there.
A 40% trap out of this one.
You know, for a rank 2 spell, I'm very happy with this utility because it's just weak hit, get off weaknesses, get off shields, get off everything, and then you get a trap.
So as we were recording this popped in my
Yep,
head.
there it
I
is.
went to the
Frozen Bats, which now, as you can see, is PvP banned. So the Rat Stabber like mechanic was banned, and now it's not. Now it's gonna be allowed.
bazaar and bought this. This is just a similar version of this spell.
And you see, this cannot be used in advanced combat. This can.
Which is 2 pips, 200 damage, and 35% to next ice spell. They're cut from the same cloth, really, except you're able to use this one and enchant it, and you don't have to pay for it every time.
I also forgot about that because in non-advanced combat and standard PvE, see, I keep forgetting to mention enchanting potential because of the fact that we're so focused on this new stuff. But yeah, if you're doing this in standard content, yeah, you can enchant this too, so you could even make it hit harder than Frozen Bats because of that, since Frozen Bats you couldn't train, meaning you couldn't enchant it.
That's true.
On to the bottom path of this new spell. It is a hit, and then...
There we go. Let's see. So it's a slightly more powerful hit. Very slight, and you gambit a weakness that you put on an opponent. You give up a weakness that you put to summon a minion. Okay, that is one of Ice's other identities. Is their anti-blade, anti-weakness, and their shield.
Gambit weakness to summon a minion.
That's
And I mentioned the anti-weakness part because a lot of their path Bs, especially in like the Arc 2 section of their spells, are all clear a shitload of weaknesses, and then you hit.
pretty hype. So this is bringing minions back for ice.
And the minion summoned is a brand new minion, and here is that.
This is
Back rat. So basically what the Rat Stabber looks like is essentially what it is. So design-wise, it's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. It's basically an ice hooligan. Nothing super crazy there. Nothing like, oh my god, holy shit, this is like new stuff. It's basically an ice hooligan is the design, which still looks pretty nice actually. It's kind of drippy.
This is where things get fascinating, dare I say, because you summon this minion called Pack Rat, and he's got some mystical spells up in there.
He has brand new spells that have never existed in the game before, and they are OP, and I wish I could train the spells that this man has.
Me too.
So this Rat Stabber is a rank 2 minion, and it only has 4 different spells, and it casts each spell in a random order.
Ah, okay, so this is what I was thinking about the other time, where they have like a certain amount of cards in their deck that they know, but they also only have 1 copy of each spell, instead of having an endless amount of these spells. So once he goes through his 4 spells, then on turn 5 he'll cast the leave combat thing.
So no
If he doesn't die.
guaranteed, it's just gonna you go through all 4 spells in any order.
The first spell already exists. It's just a good old-fashioned weakness minus 25% next outgoing
Makes sense.
spell.
OP on a
Pretty
minion.
standard.
By the way, you cleared a weakness on you to put a weakness on them through the minion.
Yeah, that's technically true. Because if you're breaking enemy utility, like you're breaking a weakness that was put on you and hitting through a shield to set up a trap, or even to do the gambit weakness to get the minion, Yeah, Core's right. You're literally breaking their utility to then get utility of your own.
What is the groundbreaking weakness that's coming?
This is something I've said Ice has needed for a long time. This is called Frailty. It is a pierce weakness.
Oh my god. Oh, this resist build is about to be cooking. I'm gonna be cooking the shit out of everything now. Cause like I was already kind of tough to kill. Like the hidden temple solo I did wasn't even that hard. Like, yeah, I took some damage, but between death weaving, having to resist, and now I'm about to have frailty through the minion, reducing their like this makes it to where stabilize is less important. This this in a way makes stabilize not as required. But even if something has really high pierce, like Darkmoor Malice there has 65 pierce. You put this on him, he'll only have 40. And then you add stabilize on top of that, he'll only be able to pierce 15. So you could still be tanky if you know what you're doing with the setup. This is a card, like this minion is definitely something that I need to get for my solo runs.
It's reducing the pierce of the target.
So my resist will actually matter?
Oh yeah.
What? Unheard of.
Yeah, 100%. And knowing that that's Ice's main stat, like that's Ice's main stat is resist. And knowing now that we can keep our resist by reducing their pierce, that's huge. Because that allows us to maintain our value and maintain our identity. Because we don't even have the most health in the game anymore. That honor goes to the life school. They stole the health win from us, but it's okay. We have the resist, so it makes up.
That is crazy. This needs to be a real spell yesterday. I love this spell. I love Pierce weaknesses. Pierce is insane against Ice.
Well, if you like Frailty, you're really gonna like this one. Double Frailty.
Bruh, I forgot about that one. What the fuck? Minus 20 pierce. Yeah, that's minus 45 if the minion can stack them. That's minus 45 pierce. So let's use Malister as the example. He has 65 normally. And I'm talking about Darkmoor Malister. I'm not talking about Dragonspire. Normally he has 65. If you put on the single frailty, that's a 25. 65 minus 25, that's 40. And then if you take one of the 20s and stack that, yeah, that's 20. He'll only, like, if he could stack these on like a Malister will only have 20 pierce, which is less than a current World Darkmoor mob, which averages between 24 to 28. And then Darkmoor bosses of the current world average between 30 to 40-ish. So this card completely nukes a current world stat.
It's twice the fun.
They dropped the percentage down a little bit to keep it balanced, but it's 2.
And because of that, that makes stabilize again not only not as needed, but in some scenarios entirely unnecessary. Especially if you're running this build. So yeah, keep that in mind. This just made the resist build fucking cracked.
Minus 20% pierce weaknesses.
Now that's good. That's keeping me tanky. That's keeping me survivable. Give me the real spell right now.
Now.
Yeah, let me train this shit, bro. Like, let me train these things, please.
If you could just get that spell trained, you would never complain again, correct?
No, absolutely
Never
not.
mind, don't do it. Don't.
I would literally glaze ice to a much further extent than I already do. And I kind of overglaze it, knowing that it's not even in contention or in conversation of being the #1 school in the game. It's not even in the conversation. Right now, the conversation for #1 school is literally just death, and then second place goes to death, and then third place goes to death.
At it, no, it won't do any good.
Well, you want me to complain a little less, don't you? A little less. It's incremental.
And then, Core, what is the final spell they cast?
This one is called Double Debility. It is 2 minus 20.
Okay, so even though that's just a damage weakness as well, that's stacking that too can also be quite busted. Because obviously this is just damage instead of pierce. The pierce one's freaking crazy. But being able to stack 2 different weaknesses can actually also be useful. Which I got comments from people saying that the flat resist jewels still have value compared to health. And knowing that these weaknesses are becoming a thing in the game, with these coming in, those people might actually be seeing the future. There's a chance that those people might end up being able to have their I told you so moment. You guys might actually end up being right about flat resist not being totally shit. So if you're watching this, like you watch resist video and thinking that and you have that mindset about flat resist, your time might be about to arrive.
20% regular weaknesses.
Would you rather have this debility or double it and give it to the next person?
I would rather quadruple debility. Where am I going, Buckingham Palace?
I'm already going to Digmore Station.
Well, I don't even know where we're trying to go.
Digmore Station.
I don't know where it is. We have 2 more.
Okay, to be fair, the only reason why I can get the dig more easy is because I played this game too damn long. I know these guys have for a long time too, but Regent Square, to be fair, kind of tough to maneuver if you don't always go there enough. It's easy to forget where things are if you don't go there consistently. But we're about to go there consistently now, especially if we're getting this Buckingham challenge mode.
4 minions to go over, people.
Ice Guardian, it is going to be a rank 4 minion, not 4 pips, I think, but 3.
Yeah, they're not sure about the pip cost either. I don't think any of us are, but if it does end up going up, it's going to be a non-factor for perfect pip chance stat builders, so yeah. And then shield to trap, so it's basically trapping and shielding. It's not really going to hit, so it is a support minion, which makes sense.
3 pips and a rank 4 minion.
It's kind of confusing. This is all we've got information-wise, people.
So there's a...
Now, I'm trying to remember, because my memory is really bad. Are these old school minions also subject to the limited card until they leave mechanic? Or is that exclusively the new ones?
New mechanic called Sap Minion, and I think the sapping
There's
corresponds with the rank, as opposed to the pip cost corresponding with the rank. It's very
quadratic equations.
Very confusing. We didn't get any sap teasers in our batch, but AwesomeTheSauce got like 45 sap teasers in his.
I love how they over-exaggerate everything. I love these guys. But yeah, I feel bad for Sauce, though, because he had to cover so freaking much. But I do know enough to where I could say, when in doubt, AwesomeTheSauce.
So check out his video, and he very deeply broke down and hit the Dougie and said how sapping worked.
I feel bad for the guy who got the myth school on the Minion update.
Yeah, Corey, you're talking about Sauce there, the guy that Boar literally just said. I love you, Core, but Boar kind of already said his name. But yeah, that's probably part of why Sauce got the Myth School. Not just because he also plays Myth a lot outside of the die equals delete that he's been doing, but also there's just so much information, and they probably figured if there's anyone that we know can talk about everything, that it's him.
There's no way you could go over all that information in any less time than 17 minutes and 58 seconds.
No way. And this minion is going to alternate between shielding and trapping, the 2 favorite things for the Ice School.
That is very good for us. Next, there's Fredo. He's a rank 6. He has 6 spells. His behavior is trapping and hitting. So maybe don't use him. He's going to set up a big trap, gambit, all these traps. And
yeah, that's a fair point. The Ice minion, with their shielding and trapping, might still end up being better. Because even if Fredo has good hits, they're probably not going to be worth what the player can use the traps to do. You know? I feel like the Ice Minion, the Ice Colossus Minion, might end up being the better of the two.
Then wasted on a Path C Frost Beetle, probably.
I love that he will trap. I will have to see what kind of hits he's packing before I determine that I like the hitting side of it. Because if he's doing traps, that's great. He's setting for you, but you're going to have to, like, rush against the clock before he wasted on a spell instead of you getting to hit with, like, a Frost Giant or a Colossus or something big. So, Core, here again is the Rat Stabber animation. We didn't get to talk last time. But
Yeah, it's slick and quick.
He summons in the middle.
He rolls and does a little and shoots some ice at. I really like the speed of this animation. I like the visual effects. Very slick animation on this one, I gotta say.
It's very quick. It's going to be nice when you're up against timer against nullity and you just need 110 damage and a trap.
And a 40% trap.
40%
of
trap.
course. And you're hitting with ice for some reason.
Also, we touched on it earlier, there is the sap minion mechanic coming in this update. You're going to have like a brand new health bar like this on your minions from now on. This is the new health bar UI for minions. As you can see, there's like 3 different colors going on. Red,
I think they went over
gray,
this
and
one
black.
already, but
Red is the current health. Gray is
they probably
the
didn't
current
remember they did it
max
the first
health,
time.
And black
I don't
is
blame 'em.
what the original max health was.
It's a lot of information,
Pre-sap,
and the cards are insane.
because sap is pretty much gambiting the health of your minion in order to get a different utility out of it. And once you've sapped, drained, gambited your minion's health, that portion of their health bar is gone forever and you can't heal it back. That gone forever section is the blacked out portion.
They have somehow managed to make a health bar a complex system here. It's gonna take some learning to understand fully.
It is different.
I applaud. Good job. I didn't think it could be done.
It's very different. I don't think we've ever had a health bar where whatever health you start with, once you lose a certain part of it, you didn't have the ability to heal back up to that. So that's how they got this code to work.
Yeah,
more
that's
impressive
true.
to me.
Would it be a strange thing
like
to
Wizard combat is such spaghetti code sometimes. It's like, how? You know?
say, I like this health bar and kind of wish we all had one now?
I
Just to
do really
see
like
how
that.
much you got left.
Imagine a death spell that's super busted, but the conditional is you have to sap your own health on it.
Oh, jeez.
And they're adding that to every drain now.
And then additional.
I'm curious if these types of mechanics are gonna be like the theme of Arc 5. Because each arc kind of had its own theme in a way, where Arc 1 was just standard, fully cheatless combat. Just you pack cards, you use them, that's it. Arc 2 introduced cheats. Arc 3 introduced like different mechanics. Arc 4 had its own thing. I think this might end up being a contributing piece to the general theme of Arc 5's combat, especially post Darkmoor.
Notes, older minion manipulation spells are still banned and unchanged. All other minions from treasure cards and gear sets will be updated in a future patch. They're not touched yet. And henchmen are not minions. Minions will have green nameplates in combat. Core, all jokes aside, this is a very cool update.
God damn it!
Core Vortex.
Ow, so cool!
My dog. Come
Hey,
on.
Boar.
Hey, Core.
What
no.
kind of money do snowmen prefer?
What?
Cold hard cash.
God.
Hey, Boar.
Hey, Core.
How does a penguin build a house?
How?
Igloos it together.
I'm stealing these. I'm stealing these.
There's an igloo in the background.
Oh, it's right there.
Hey, Boar.
Hey, Core.
What's a snowman's favorite kind of soup?
What?
Chili.
Hey, Core.
Hey, Boar.
What do you call a penguin in the Sahara Desert?
What, Boar?
Lost. Oh, they're not supposed to be there.
Oh, they're
What
not
the
supposed to be there.
What the hell?
So dumb.
What the hell? See, that's why they're my goats, man. I love those guys. So that's my main. And now we can continue on with schools that I don't really play a whole lot of, which the next one is Balance, the one school that I don't have a wizard of. So I know nothing about Balance at all. This section's 8 minutes, but I might not be able to say a whole lot here because I don't know the school like that. But it does come from one of my favorite people that I've met in the Wiz community thus far, Zaepha. Zaepha, if you're listening to this, we love you, girly. You're one of my goats. And hope to see you drop again soon. I promise I'm trying to get better at this stuff. So please don't hurt me if I say something stupid.
Hey guys, Zaepha here. Today I'm excited to share that I have a very special exclusive teaser from King's Isle for the 2026 summer update with a bunch of new information about the upcoming minion overhaul, 3 updated balance minions, and a brand new balance spell to showcase. So first, let's talk about what's changing with minions. If you missed it, there have already been several tweaks to minions during the spring updates. Let's quickly cover those. First, minion stats scale with your level, and in general, the spell behavior for minions is becoming more specialized and predictable. In addition, minions will automatically leave combat after a set number of spell casts, with floating text showing how many remaining spells they have. In other words, minions are not permanently part of a fight. They'll leave when they're defeated or when they run out of spells to use. For the summer update, we should see...
I think she just clarified that that leave thing happens with every minion, regardless of which one it is now. Because I didn't know that before. I think she just answered that question. So thank you, Zay. Thank you so damn much.
Even more changes, with the big one being that now all trained minion spells will be updated with the new system and are now unbanned from advanced content. In addition, each minion has improved AI and updated spells, so they're more reliable in combat, and all schools can now train any minions through trainers in Ravenwood and the Arcanum. So if you want to train a different school's minion, you can now do so.
Okay, so the base versions are through Ravenwood and the Arcanum. Okay. So you don't have to Spellament farm to train the other ones, or even your own. You just train the base, and then you Spellament for the higher versions after. Okay. That's notable.
Older minion manipulation spells do remain banned and unchanged from advanced content and PvP, and examples of these include the ones...
I was gonna say, with these being banned from advanced content, if you're a raider, these... pointless. But even in standard PvE content, if you're not a myth, pointless, especially with the fact that they're changing the system with these new things that are just significantly better.
You can train from the Krakatopia and Marleybone spell trainers. Minions from treasure cards and item cards will also be updated in a future patch. Finally, note that henchmen are not considered minions and are unaffected by this update, and for people wondering, you can tell if it's a minion by the green nameplates in combat. Along with the updated minions, we'll also be getting a new minion reshuffle card that will only be available for standard PvE content that refreshes all your minions casts back to the beginning, so it acts...
Oh wait, it is standard content only, that reshuffle. Okay, so you can't use that in challenge mode. I actually did not see that before. That's my fault. Thank you, Zay, for bringing this up again.
As if it were just resummoned. However, note that the spell only works while the minion is still active in combat. So just like reshuffle for players, this allows you to refresh your minion's number of spells so they can keep fighting. There's also a brand new mechanic related to minions called Sap. Sap removes a portion of a minion's health based on its rank. Minions can be rank 1 through 7, and rank 1 minions are defeated after 1 sap, rank 2 minions are defeated after 2 saps, etc. In addition, sap reduces both the minion's current and max health, meaning this damage cannot be healed. The minion health bar is getting a brand new UI to reflect this, with red as the current health, gray as the current max health, and black as the original max health. So black will only appear after a minion has been sapped. Saps can be used both on your own minion or the enemy's minion for different effects besides just lowering their health depending on the spell card description, and Cam was kind enough to clarify that if a card allows you to sap your minion, it's essentially analogous to gambiting for other hanging effects, while sapping the enemy's minion would be analogous to clearing a hanging effect. Finally, we also saw from the earlier myth teasers that there will also be another new mechanic called Upgrade that basically gives you an improved minion of a higher rank if you already have a particular minion summoned. We've only seen this available on the Cyclops minion for now, but I wouldn't be surprised if it appears on other minions in the future. Okay,
I think
with
we
that
will.
out of the way, let's take a look at how 3 of Balance's minions are changing in the next update. First up, we have Mander Minion for 3 pips that summons a helpful Mander.
Mander!
This minion is now rank 4 with 6 spells available, and its behavior includes casting wards, charms, and pips. Given its current spell lineup, this does likely mean it will be losing some of its previous attack spells like Locust Swarm and Sandstorm in favor of a larger support role, but we'll have to wait and see to be sure. Up next, we then have Spectral Minion, which is reducing in pip cost from 4 to 3 pips, and this is an interesting spell because it can summon one of 3 minions randomly from Fire, Ice, or Storm, including the Fire Elemental, Ice Guardian, or Water Elemental, and these are the same minions that Fire, Ice, and Storm wizards can currently summon. So I'm assuming here they'll also share the same spells and behaviors.
I assume
First
the same
up,
thing.
The Fire Elemental is
Of course, we already know about the Fire Elementals kit. We know about the Ice Guardians kit. We just don't know the Storm one because we haven't made it to the Storm one, and she couldn't actually drop anything on the Storm stuff and whether it has the same kit or not because she's not the representative. And when hers dropped, Almond's did not yet at the time.
rank 4 and has 4 spells it will use over 6 rounds, and its behavior includes alternating between heal over times and damage
So
over
this is just a
times.
reminder.
The Ice Guardian
these
is also
exist.
rank 4 with 6 spells, and it will alternate between shields and traps. Finally, I have been asked to hold off on talking about the Water Elemental, so you'll have to wait for that information by checking out the Storm teasers coming this Sunday. So from what I can talk about,
That is true because Almond was the representative for Storm in this case, so that's information that she couldn't cover.
the Ice Minion will now act more as support, either buffing or defending you, with the Fire Minion acting as kind of a hybrid between support and offense with the damage over times and heal over times. Finally, we have Neris for 5 pips that summons the minion Neris Barbed Heart. Neris is rank 6 with 6 spells and uses traps, blades, and hits. So looking at her current spell loadout, I can see her losing her shields, weaknesses, and pip focus spells
A
in the next
semi-standard
update, but
spell
again,
kit
we'll have
then,
to
spell
wait and see.
deck.
So overall, definitely some fairly big shifts in how these minions will work going forward, but hopefully putting them into more specific roles with better predictability will help players feel more confident using them. Lastly, I have a very exciting new balance spell to show you all, so without further delay, here is Pop's Knuckles.
Gives a blade, okay.
So the base spell deals
Alright, before we get anywhere, first, now that we know about Pop's Knuckles, where's Pop's Tails and Pop's Sonic? Anyways, top path, hit and blade storm. That's nice. And then and then bottom path is a hit and double sap to get a blade for each. That's pretty good. But although that blade you could only get on yourself.
deals 245 balance damage to the target and applies 20% universal blades to all allies. Then Path B deals 285 balance damage to the target and saps the caster's minion twice in exchange for 40% universal blades. So as a reminder, if your minion is rank 2 or lower, 2 saps would be enough to kill them, but if they're a higher rank, they could still survive. Here, Path A is essentially a hit into a Blade Storm, so this is a great way for non-balanced schools to be able to get the same utility by earning the spell elements to unlock the spell. This basically gives non-balanced schools the ability to be even better support wizards while also potentially using the initial hit to remove weaknesses or shields on the enemy. Then obviously Path B gives you the option to essentially gambit all or some of your minions' health with.
The thing I'm curious about with the Blade Storm, and really this blade too, is I assume that they would still stack with the other stuff. Like, would this Blade Storm stack with the normal one? I assume so, but you probably have to use this one first so that you're not using the other one to then get this one, you know? I assume so, since it's a whole different spell.
Universal blades. The one downside I could see to this spell might be balanced players feeling like their role as support is being a bit diluted, since previously, outside of treasure cards and item cards, only balanced players could learn Blade Storm, but obviously there is still a fairly big.
This might be a hot take, but if they want to be able to bring balance back as a blade support, I think they just need to make their balance blades at least relatively even with everybody else. Like, instead of like 25 for single, 20% for Blade Storm, maybe do like 30 and 25. Like, if they don't want to go 35 for a single, at least do 30, because 25 just feels a little weak.
Pip difference between the two, with Blade Storm costing only 1 pip to pop Knuckle.
That's what I would do, at least, is do like a 30 for single and then 25 for Blade Storm. You don't really have to go any further than that. Like a 5% buff for both.
Is 4 pips, so hopefully that allows Balance to still get the benefit of kind of being the best caster of Blade Storm, with other players only getting the same utility at a higher cost. But I'd love to hear opinions from the Balance players out there. I definitely think there's some discussion to be had about how school identity and spell exclusivity in particular have changed in recent updates, so I think that'll be interesting to dive into. Now, for people wondering where to get these spell elements, we don't have that information just yet, but given that they are Marleybone themed, it's likely they'll drop from Marleybone bosses, maybe in Buckingham Palace for instance, or perhaps a new gold skeleton key boss. The fact that the unlock level to use these spells in PvP is level 40, the same level.
Oh yeah, I didn't realize that you could see the level of spells. I kept on glossing over that. Yeah, with this being level 40 and Marleybone themed, yeah, this 100%. If you didn't know it before, you do now. Yeah, this is 100% going to be Buckingham Palace content. 100%. And it's probably going to be challenge mode. And hopefully standard mode could drop them too if you do the scales of knowledge too, but yeah.
Well, as the Buckingham
that
Palace
confirms
dungeons
it right there.
might be another hint toward that being the drop source for the spell elements.
Like, there's
whether
no way
through
it's
an
not.
existing boss or a new gold skeleton key boss. While he's a wooden key boss, Billy the Cutter already exists in the State Wing dungeon of Buckingham Palace, for instance, so it'd be cool to maybe get a new gold key boss that somehow ties into the existing story of the 3 dungeons. I really want to thank KingsIsle, all the devs, and community managers for the opportunity to tease these spells and changes, and we'll continue to have teasers through this weekend, so definitely make sure to check out all these other amazing creators. Definitely let me know your thoughts on all these changes in the comments and which spells you're currently most excited for. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking and subscribing, as it really does help me to make more amazing Wiz content for you all. And if you want to support me and the channel further, you can hit the join button below to become one of my awesome channel members. As always, I hope to see you out there in the spiral, and happy questing.
Give that support to Zay, by the way. Check out the videos, and if they have Patreons, if they have any of that, support them, give them every bit of love that you can, because without you guys, we as content creators, it'd be hard for us to do what we do without you guys. It really would, especially because there's certain obligations that we have to deal with that it'd be hard without you guys to be there to motivate us. Even people who want to throw hate at somebody for no reason, even that gives us some form of motivation to prove the haters wrong or to prove the supporters right. So yeah, keep that in mind. So support your favorite creators, whether it's me, whether it's Sauce, whether it's Zay, Speed, Corn, Boar. Just support everybody, because everyone's working hard. Everyone's working their tails off. So this next one, this is the Death School. This is the school that, when it's all said and done, I'll probably end up having as a secondary character whenever I get around to it, is Death. And this is the school I'm weaving into on the ice, so I do have some interest in the Death information. This and the Storm one are the 2 I did not watch the entire things at all, actually. Because I did see the others, but forgot a lot of the information. These 2 I didn't even see. So, for me, it's a first time on these ones. So, let's see how this goes. This is only 4.5 minutes, so this won't be long.
Yo, what's going on, guys? MrBobCat here. I'm going to be showing you all the new Death cinematics as well as the new Death Minion changes coming to the summer update. But first, I just want to thank the community managers, Mickey and Emma, for this opportunity. And I want to thank everyone that has supported the channel up until this point, because
Yeah, this is Bob. Yeah, I saw you the other day. If you're seeing this, Bob, I literally saw you in the arena one time because I was curious on what I could craft in there one time because I was curious, and then I happened to see you just walk in. It's like, oh, hello. So shout out to Bob.
I couldn't have done it without the awesome community Wizard101 has. That being said, I assume most of you guys know by now the minion changes covered by the other content creators throughout the week. I highly recommend you check those out. If you want to see the spell animation, I'll leave a timestamp to skip to if you are anxious to know what it is. But I wanted to cover the minion update in case you haven't heard. I'm going to go over what minions brought us in the spring as well as what's coming in the summer update, just so you get a better idea of what this update will be like, especially from a PvP perspective. In the spring, we got minions that now scale with your level, which basically means, unlike the older minions, these don't just die to a wand hit or an AoE, which makes them more worth summoning because they aren't as easy to eliminate. We also saw minions having specific and predictable moves. For example, Troll Minion, it is a trap minion, and most PvP players know that he will cast 5 unique traps and spam them. But because he has specific moves, it's easier to counter, especially if you are a Fire Duel school.
That's
you know
true.
that Immolate is the best card to cycle for when Troll is summoned, and minions now have a set number of spells and will leave combat once all spells are used. Similar to when a boss cheats, floating text will appear. This was all a part of the spring update. Here is what is to come in the summer update. All minions everywhere in the game have been updated with this new system we just talked about and are now available in advanced combat, such
I'm
as
not in the
range
video.
or challenge dungeons. We are also going to be seeing improved AI as well as updated spells, making them more reliable in combat. This will definitely change the pace of PvP now that every school has a minion as a new utility. We haven't seen minions in a long time, but I think this will be an update that makes people want to get back into PvP. Another cool feature is that we are going to be able to train other schools' minions, which is why I can see minions taking over the arena with all types of different playstyles emerging because these minions are not school specific. Only time will tell on what minions will be the most overpowered and sought after, but for now, the major change to this update is the new mechanic Sap, which all it does is it'll remove a portion of a minion's health based on its rank, and minions will be ranked 1 through 7. One sap by itself can eliminate a rank 1 minion, and 2 saps for a rank 2. Each sap removes 50% and so on. Sap will reduce both current and max health, meaning damage cannot be healed, which will be displayed by a new health bar UI. Red equals current health, gray equals current max health, and the black equals for the original max health. Before the sap, which means that saps can be used offensively and has ways to get extra added value with utility without having to single hit to defeat. I'm looking forward to testing out this new minion update. Seems like a ton of fun, but let me know what you guys think as always. The moment you have all been waiting for, the new death cinematic for Jacques Scratchest. Now, I'm not too sure if I said that right. That was pretty hard to pronounce.
I think you did. I think I was wrong if you were right. Yeah, Jax the Scratcher being a spell now.
Wow, very quick and a nice animation. But here is what the new death spell.
Okay, so top path is a straight hit. Makes sense. So it's basically just a slightly stronger, no, it's technically just a slightly weaker skeletal pirate in terms of like just the way it works. Top path anyway. Very fair amount of damage. It's not that bad actually.
Be for path A, just a 4 pip damage hits. As for the bottom path, death is getting.
Ooh, I see. So it. Oh, I see. So it does a slightly weaker hit, clears an enemy positive aura, and replaces it with a negative aura where they do 30% less damage for 4 turns. Okay, so it's basically an aura clear bottom path.
Getting a hit and aura clear for a -30 negative aura. This spell is kind of insane for death because they already have Monster Mash, but this is a new way death will counter auras. My original reaction was shocked compared to the other spells this week. I can definitely see this being a go-to for aura clears on death, but let me know what you guys think about this new spell coming in the summer update. I really like this new one.
Yeah, I see
death
the potential.
Minions are getting some changes, most notably Animate Minion, which most death wizards are familiar with. This is a X-Pit minion that ranges from rank 2 to 6. It will have 6 spells, being harmful charms like infections and weaknesses. We don't know what specifically they will have or the total amount of HP they will have. We have to wait until test run, but for the debuffs, I'd imagine they will be like the ice minions. It will also be able to act as a shield clear. This minion specifically says that its hits will increase in damage based on the pips used to summon it. We're also seeing a change to Malduit. She is now a rank 6. She has 6 spells, and her spells will be blades and hits. Super excited to see what her cards will be. I look forward to what you guys think of the new death minions as well as a new death spell coming to the summer update in the comments. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. If you made it this far in the video, make sure you leave a like and subscribe if you're new. And as always guys, I'll see you guys next time. Later.
Yeah, depending on how things go with that, there is potential for sure. That one was a bit of a shorter one, but because death doesn't really have a lot of stuff with the minion system, That's the thing. You would think that death would work with minions more than they do. Because, like, you think about death, you think about necromancers, you think about necromancy, which is, like, working with the dead. You would think they would have some, like, you'd think that they would have more variants and more ways to work with minions because of that. But I guess because they made Myth the minion school, they didn't really want to have 2 minion schools, you know? But if it was me, I probably would have went with death in that case, because necromancy, summoning the dead, you get the point. But that's not on Bobcat on that one. He just happened to be given whatever he could get and had to drop whatever he could. Shout out to Bobcat. Give that man some love. He deserves it for his hard work. This section is long. Oh my god, this is the last one. This is the main event. Almost 19 minutes long. Oh my god, this is longer than the Myth one. Alright, Almond, let's see. How did you give us nearly 19 minutes of Storm Minion content? What did you do? Let's find out. Ooh! Oh, we got some editing magic in here. Oh, this is so cool. Almost like a fighting game. You know what? I love it. As a video editor myself, I fucking love this, dude. Almond, if you happen to see this, good shit. Good fucking job, dude. That is sick. Ooh. Oh yeah, we got some cinema here. No wonder. Oh, what is that? Oh, we got ourselves the broom guy. Clean sweep, I think it said. Very nice animation.
Wizard, you vex me. It is one thing to mortify curiosity, another to conquer it.
Yeah, no wonder. This motherfucker made a movie.
In doing so, I tapped into an alternate, more powerful form, one unbound by
And then he
rules and
basically just
conscience.
confirmed
Call
Barking
him
him challenge mode.
Mr. Hound!
Hell yeah, dude. Good shit, dude.
Alright, hopefully you enjoyed that small little trailer I made. I had some free
Yeah, good
time, so I
fucking
thought I'd
job,
just make
dude.
some nice little edit, which I tend to do whenever I do get teasers. But if you do enjoy it, let me know in the comments down below, and don't forget to subscribe for that. So let's get into the actual teasers that were given to me and give you guys my thought process on some of this stuff as well. So when it comes to the spell, we did get Street Sweeper now as a trainable spell. Obviously, it's not going to be called Street Sweeper, it's called something else, and you know, the animation looks slightly different. So I will play the animation in the back real quick, so you guys can see without the editing and everything like that.
Yeah, let's see it raw. Clean sweep, I think the name was. Very nice.
Now what the spell is called Clean Sweep. We have a Path A and a Path B for this spell. Path A, Clean Sweep, is...
Alright, let's take a look. 1 pip, okay. So a 90 hit and a blade. Yeah, that's pretty straightforward. So it's a 25 blade for Path A. Yeah, that's pretty good, actually. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. And then for the bottom path is a slightly weaker hit, but you gambit a weakness to gain a big storm blade. And it's specifically storm, so unless you're weaving in the storm or you are a storm, you can't really use this in any other scenario, really, and get much value out of it. So this is more of a niche thing here and not so chromatic like certain other ones are. So it is kind of a niche thing here.
Is 1 pip, does 100 damage at max tier, and gives you a 25% Storm Blade. So it's very similar to Storm Beetle, which a lot of people do run in PvP when it comes to the pet. So now that this is basically a Storm Beetle, but trainable and, you know, used.
Yeah, now the Storm Beetle item card does more damage than the Train Clean Sweep by default. However, can't enchant it like you can the clean sweep.
Full for storm hits.
So keep that in mind.
Now comes the decision, will people actually pack this in their deck and sacrifice other cards and, you know, swap out their pet for a different pet, for example, a pet that gives you bubbles, or will people just keep using what they're using? When it comes to casual play though, if you are a person that just doesn't do raids, doesn't do PvP, will you use this spell? That's for you to decide. It's useful to some extent if you are a solo player and you're questing through, but when you're in teams, there's no reason to really use this just because blade stack feints and all that stuff exists, so there's no real use for this top path, other than of course if you're doing PvP stuff. Now the bottom path, which I'm a huge fan of, which is doing 95 damage, and then it gambits a negative charm on the enemy, and in return you get a plus 50% blade. Now there's actually some fights where I see this very viable, and one fight I can actually see this spell being useful in is the Ghastly Conspiracy Raid. In the Ghastly Conspiracy Raid, there's plenty of different strats out there, and my strat, at least the one that I have uploaded, requires 3 storms, you guys blade, and then proceed to set up a Oni. There's even other strats that exist where people use Brilliant Light, and then they proceed to use a Thunder Snake, which is path B specifically, so they turn that blade into a better blade, essentially.
Yeah.
There's even a strat that people use where they use the 55 boots that come from the Detective boots. But this new spell opens an opportunity for players to use the negative charms instead, put that on Ghastly, and then proceed to gambit it in return and get a 50 blade. But this is just one of the few examples I'm giving. There's other possible examples that you can use this in, whether it be PvP or even other advanced combat strategies. But like I said, personally, I'm a fan of this bottom path. Now, when it comes to where you'll be getting this spell, which has been asked quite often when it came to all the other teasers, is you'll be getting this spell specifically from Buckingham Palace. So yes, Buckingham Palace is getting an overhaul similar to Aquila like last year.
Good that we went in order, y'all, because it kind of just led to this reveal.
Right? So they had all that, and then some gear overhaul stuff. So this basically means that we are going to get the exact same situation when it comes to Buckingham Palace. So we'll have spells that are introduced that you can farm from Buckingham Palace, as well as some other stuff as well. So I do want to mention that when it comes to where you'll be getting the spell.
Now I'm only pausing here just to process everything. Plus, this gives us a good preview. Shout out to Almond for this video, and shout out for this frame here. This is showing off all 7 of the new spells. At least they're path A's. So Jackal and Hound for fire, Rat Stabber for ice, Clean Sweep for storm, Whiplash for life, Mark Moriarty for myth, Jack's Scratchist for death, and Pop's Knuckles for balance. So there you go. Now we know.
Just remember, if you are trying to get these spells and you are low level, Buckingham Palace is level 40, so that's when you can start farming up these spells. But like I said, it'll be a similar system to Aquila update back in last year, but we'll find more information whenever test run does come out, and I will post a video regarding that. Now that we got this main spell out the way, let's talk about the minion changes and some other stuff that's kind of notable worth mentioning, at least when it comes to this video. So first, let's go over my minions.
I'm curious
for
what the storm stuff
and then
is
we'll
gonna
talk about some other mechanics that are introduced in this update. So the first minion that got changed was Water Elemental. Water Elemental was also shown in the balance teasers, but wasn't fully given all the information due to just wait till Sunday's teasers. So Water Elemental is a rank 4 minion now, and it will have 7 spells in its deck. It won't have an infinite amount of cards in its deck. It literally only has 7 cards in its deck. Once it runs out, that means no more cards are left in its deck and it'll leave the combat. Or if it just dies, either option. Now this minion is only focusing on 2 different things, which is blading and applying weaknesses on the enemy. So will you ever see Water Elemental cast a shield or cast a taunt like it currently does? No, you won't see that anymore. Literally, it only does blades and weaknesses, and it will alternate between them. So if you see this minion in PvP and you see it blade the first round, it will do a weakness the next round, then blade after, and it'll just keep repeating that same process.
So it
runs out of cards.
So it has a specific rotation then. Positive, negative, etc., etc.
Or till you defeat it. But there's other mechanics that are involved that can actually kill the minion. And then
that's kind of a reference to science in a way, because like you think about like the electrons and shit, the positives and the negatives, and what attracts opposites.
The other minion that got changed was Mokampa.
That's kind of big brain.
That right? And it's now a rank 6 minion, and it has 7 cards in its deck as well. The difference between this one and Water Elemental is that this person focuses primarily on blading and hitting the target. So you won't see weaknesses in its deck, you won't see shields, you won't see heals. It's literally only going to be focusing on blades and hitting the target. Now, in
Yeah, so
general, the
basically
question
your
that gets
standard
asked
stack
a
and
lot
smack.
is, should I be using these minions? I've seen that get tossed around a lot. Now, yes, it's for you to decide technically. In my opinion, I don't think I'm going to be using any of the minions from this update unless I am forced to use a minion. For example, if there's an advanced combat strategy that's
I could understand that. They can be for niche situations. They're probably not going to be universally good. You know, there's probably going to be some specific situations. Like I said, I think my prediction is that post Darkmoor, the world after, which my prediction for that, I'm going to stamp it in right now because of the theme of bundles and like sale drops we're getting recently. Because they're like Valencia themed, I think the next world is going to be Valencia. I think that they're bringing it from Pirate and bringing it over to Wizard. I don't really know Pirate as much, but I do have a friend, someone who's not a content creator, who does know Pirate. So any Pirate information I need, I get from her. Shout out to you. You know who you are. Love you to death. But yeah, that's my prediction. I think we're going to get Valencia after Darkmoor. And I think that this minion change is going to be a factor in the Valencia story. Whether it's in the story itself or whether it's just in certain scenarios in combat.
it's like
We'll
further
find
into
out.
the future that requires me to summon a minion, then yes, I will do it. But when it comes to just me questing through or like me farming or whatnot, better to do it with 4 people. It will always be, because weaving blades exist, feints exist, so there's so many other things that exist. Scald Incendiate, for example. So there's no real reason to summon a minion, specifically when you're questing. Now, yes, if you are a person that does solo stuff and you like solo questing on your own, etc., then yes, you can make valid arguments to summon minions, and that is completely understandable. But just for me, I'm not going to be using anything from this minion update. It's not tailored towards me, at least, for when it comes to the content I pursue. Like I said, unless there's an event.
Which is fair. And I'm definitely testing the ice ones because I want to test and see just how much tankier I am with those pierce weaknesses that the minion's going to end up dropping. I am very curious.
That's combat strategy in the future that requires me to do so. Now, that's really it for when it comes to the teasers that were given to me, but there's some additional information that I do want to talk to you guys about, which if you haven't seen other videos that I've posted on the channel or any of the other teasers, it's definitely worth mentioning in this video as well. So one of the main things is with this minion overhaul, a lot of the spells are getting changed when it comes to minions, of course, but you will be able to train other school minions now. So for example, if I want to learn Sprite Guardian on my Storm for some reason, now I have the ability to do so. I can go to the life school or in the Arcanum, go over there, use some training points, and train their specific minion. So it's no longer locked behind a specific school. Another thing is, minions will now be unbanned from advanced combat. Like I said, earlier in this video, I did mention rage strategies when it comes to minions.
Yeah, that's going to be...
But this allows players to now use minions.
That's going to be pretty
even in
ridiculous.
PvP. So we'll have to see what people do when it comes to those strategies, but just remember that all their cards are updated for every minion that's specifically trainable, of course. Just remember that every minion has a set pattern and has improved AI, so it makes them more reliable in combat. When it comes to minions, I did mention that they only have a set amount of cards in their deck and then they will just leave combat. Or if the opponent just straight up kills your minion. Well, one thing to kind of evade the whole running out of cards thing is they added a new spell called Minion Reshuffle. Now, I'm not too sure which school that this is going to be. I just put balance on screen, but it is going to be 0 pips. And this is only available in standard content, so if you are trying to use this in like an advanced combat strategy or PvP, etc., you know what I mean, you won't be able to use this card. It does literally as the...
That does kind of balance it, to be fair. Making it to where you can't just pack a bunch of them and then just keep your minion doing utility things endlessly. It does kind of make it, balanced. Especially since there are some minions that I could see being pretty busted. I still want those pierce weaknesses, though, for the ice school. I still want those.
The card says, which is it will reshuffle all the minions cards back in its deck to make it seem like it's a brand new minion. I mean, the health and everything's going to remain. It's just like regular reshuffle. But it is going to be 0 pips, so just mentioning that. Now, in the future, minions from treasure cards and gear cards will be updated in a future patch. So in the summer update, does that mean right away all the minions from treasure cards are going to be changed as well? No, but they will in a future patch. So this means to the decathlon heads that use Brandon along with other minion spells that are specifically from treasure cards, those will be changing in the future as well. So one day Stormbrand is only going to have like 7 cards, for example, in his deck. So just be wary when you're trying to do Decathlon in the future. Another thing is, spells like Draw Power and other manipulation spells that involve a minion are still going to be banned, so you can't use them in advanced combat or PvP. They will just be unchanged.
You're dodging
so
a lot
they'll
with
still
that
exist in
anyway,
the
because
game,
they're
just
not
going
that
to be
good.
untouched and banned for now. Unless they do something way down the line that changes up the entire gimmick with them, which we don't know at the moment. Another thing worth mentioning is henchmen aren't affected by this update. They're their own separate thing because they have a green nameplate. So if you are a person that actively buys henchmen or something like that in the crown shop, don't worry, they won't have 7 cards or like 3 cards. They will have their own separate entity because they're their own thing essentially. So don't worry about henchmen being changed. Now, if you do raids and you do weaving quests, I know some of those require a minion. For example, Polaris raid, you do have the minions that walk around with you. You also have the weaving quest fight that have another person in the fight with you.
Yeah.
Are those getting affected? No, because they're kind of like henchmen in a way. So they're not.
Yeah, they
summoned
probably
by a
put those
spell.
under the henchman
Same with
branch.
the weaving quests.
'Cause
Minions,
they kind of have to put those, like they kind of have to have that behave like the old system though, because if they gave this the new system, you'd be cooked for those weaving quests because limited deck. You know, that would just cook the entire thing if they tried to do that. So, yeah, thank God they're not applying this like new minion system to those NPCs. And these NPCs are probably their own entity, even compared to henchmen too. They probably had to separate that for this reason. So, yeah, that's worth noting.
you actually have to summon in the combat, while henchmen and Polaris raid minions and weaving quests, they're their own separate thing. So if you're worried about any of those, don't worry too much. Now I want to venture into a new mechanic called Sap, but before I get into that, let's do a quick review when it came to the spring update. Not the summer update, but the spring update. Spring update basically gave us the idea that they're trying to push minions a lot more, and minions now scale with your level. Now, of course, at the time I'm recording this video, this doesn't work in-game, but only on a set amount of spells, which I will be showing on screen. And those minions are more specialized and predictable, and they leave combat after a set amount of...
Yeah, basically like paths B or C, something like that, of already existing spells, basically.
Returns, and they have a little text that shows how many remaining spells that they have. And people have been using these spells specifically for PvP. I haven't seen as many advanced combat strategies when it came to like raids or challenge mode that use these spells to summon the minion. So basically the spring update was like a little test for these 5 spells, and then now we're getting the summer update, which kind of just overhauls all the minions that are trainable. So all minions that are trainable will be scaling with your level. So does that mean Water Elemental will only have 600 HP as a level 180? No, that won't be the case, because it's going to scale with your level. So it's like little things like that you aren't too sure about.
I'm gonna guess that Storm minions will have anywhere between like 3 to 6,000 health, and like Ice minions might have anywhere between like 7,500 to 10k. I don't know. I might be overshooting it by light years, though. I don't know.
There's your answer. Now we can venture into the second to last thing that is worth mentioning in this video, which is the sap mechanic. Now, if you've seen any of the other spells that have been teased by the other creators, or even ones where I've talked about on my channel, I mentioned the mechanic called sap. Now, sap is a new mechanic, so I won't be able to explain it thoroughly 100%, but to my knowledge and everything I know about it, I will explain. Now, some spells that were given to creators did have the mechanic called sap on it. And the one spell I'm going to particularly talking about is Jackal and Hound, only because I don't want to go over every spell that has sap on it right now. So let's specifically talk about Jackal and Hound. So Jackal and Hound is a new fire spell that was already teased, and what the bottom path does, it does 170 fire damage, and then it saps
Giving us a
the enemy
reminder,
minion,
okay.
and in return, it puts a 40% fire trap. So when you're seeing this, it's a little bit confusing because you're like, well, does the 40% trap go on the minion, or does it go on the player? So if I use this in PvP and I attack the wizard, this will basically sap the enemy's minion and then proceed to put a 40% trap on the enemy, not on the minion. So what does...
Okay. So that just answered that question. Yeah, thank God we went in order. So now I know. So with stuff like this, if it's a hit, sap, and trap, the victim of the hit gets the trap, not the sap victim. The hit victim. Got it.
Sap do exactly? Well, it's kind of like Gambit in Clear. That's like the simple terms of it. but instead is what you're doing is you're taking away some of the max HP of the minion that's on their team, and in return you're getting benefits from it. And there will be this new bar that every minion has that showcases how many sap bars you have. So let's say the enemy had a rank 1 minion and I use Jackal and Hound. That Jackal and Hound will kill the minion because it's only rank 1. Depending on the rank means how many sap bars you have. Now minions can only go up to rank 7, that's the highest that they can go. So that means at rank 7 they have 7 sap bars. Now the UI isn't 100% done, so the image that was given to me and all the other creators was a mock image. That's not what it's going to look like in game, but it's
subject to
rough
change.
idea. So now let's say the minion on the end.
Plus with Test Realm not being out yet, which again, I don't think we have long to wait. It is all subject to change. Like this might end up changing when Test Realm drops, or it could remain this way in Test Realm and then Live Realm when that drops could be different. So it's all subject to change right now in terms of like aesthetics, really.
Enemy team was rank 2 and I hit the enemy with Jackal and Hound. That sap will only do it once because it only saps them once, and it'll take away 50% of their max HP on that minion, so it can survive another sap. So instead of actually killing the minion, now you can use this new mechanic where you can still focus on the main target and do some extra things to the minion and get benefits from it. So this whole system is just to deal with the minions as itself, so minions aren't as rampant as you'll see. And just remember, when I say you're sapping the enemy minion, you're reducing their max HP and their current HP. So the image shows, at least the one that was given to us, kind of gives you an idea of what their HP is going to be. So red means their current health, gray means...
Yeah, I assume when you're sapping on a health bar, that if they like with this, if they got sapped twice, then this little bit of red was probably somewhere up here, and then it got reduced down to there from a double sap. That's what I'm guessing.
Means their new max health, so they can't heal past it. So even if you try healing your minion so many times, it will never go to its full HP because it's been sapped. And then of course the black bar means that, hey, that's the original max health before the whole sap stuff happened. Like I said, it might be a little bit confusing for newer heads, but whenever it does come out in test realm, I will do a video showcasing it. Now outside of PvP,
I also plan on showcasing the stuff as well, like as the ice point of view. I know Core and Vortex probably going to cover the ice point of view there too, but I also plan on doing the same thing, just in case, for any reason.
I've seen a lot of people ask, do I even use sap? Now, as with everything in this game, when it comes to casual play, if you are just questing and everything like that, majority of the time Blade Stack exists, Feint Stack exists. You're just going to do all that stuff, Scald Incendiate, AoE, etc, etc. You're not really going to use the new mechanic. And then you have some people ask, is sap usable against bosses that summon minions? Now, that's not always the case, because majority of bosses in Wizard101 summon additional mobs. They don't summon minions. So if you tried using the sap mechanic, for example, Jackal and Hound, and you use that like on a boss, for example, it wouldn't work because it requires the enemy team to have a minion on the field. They don't summon minions. They're summoning additional mobs to join the fight.
That's a good note, actually, because that is a question I know people would have asked, and I would have not had that answer. So shout out to Almond for being able to provide that answer, and that because those minions, as we call them, are not actually minions, they're straight up regular mobs. Because they don't count as a minion, the minion mechanics don't necessarily work on actual mobs. So that's worth noting.
So when I see this new mechanic called sap, to me it really only feels, at the moment, for PvP heads. It doesn't really work in any of the challenge modes as it stands, and it doesn't work in any of the raids. Unless the new raid actually requires us to use sap, maybe requires us to use minions. I can't give a definitive answer on that, but as it's...
Yeah, we don't have definitive answers, but this does lead us to believe that to be possible. This leads us to believe that Valencia might have minion content, and the Mushu raid is what we think it is, might have minion like content to it. But I also still do think that these minions have potential in other challenge modes as is too. I just think that the upcoming content might incentivize it more than the stuff that we already have now, you know?
Stands as me looking into this mechanic is strictly only for PvP. That's what it feels like. because it doesn't work in casual PvE, and there's no reason to use it in casual PvE because bosses summon additional mobs, not minions. So if you're wondering about the whole stat mechanic, I wouldn't worry too much about it unless like you're doing PvP. Now, as I said,
Yeah, it's kind of a niche system, really. Like, it's more going to be for PvP and like certain challenge modes. Standard PvE, it's not really going to see as much play. I still will test it as a solo player, just because I'm curious as to how much of a difference it can make. Because I'm not a hitter, I'm a full support ice main. So these are mechanics that I do actually kind of have. It's like I'm kind of incentivized to test these things just to see if it helps my flow as a solo player.
I won't briefly touch upon it too much, but all the new spells that were teased regarding Marleybone, they're not Marleybone challenge modes. There's nothing else. It's strictly from Barkingham Palace. Of course, there will be a pack. I mean, we kind of already all know that, just because if we're following, just like how Aquila did it, when it's update, we'll have like a vendor here that gives us the gear, and then we'll have, of course, a pack that exists as well. So that means the Aquila template will be getting renewed for level 180. But if you're trying to get to the spells and you want to farm, for example, the new Street Sweeper spell, or which they call Clean Sweep, you will be doing Barkingham Palace. So you'll be seeing a lot of people doing Barkingham Palace, not only for the spells, but of course, if you care about your challenge modes. Now, at the time I'm recording this, I don't know if we're getting challenge mode gear. I know Aquila does have challenge mode gear, but I'm not too sure.
I assume we will, because I think that this is gonna end up being a system template that they use for the foreseeable future. We got it with Aquila with the spells, the spellaments, and the cosmetic gear and all that stuff. I think we're gonna end up seeing this as a system template for a while. Like, Barkingham happens to be the case this time. But what's the next world after that gets it? I think this is gonna be a maintained system template. That's just my prediction. I could be wrong. I could be right. I don't know. We'll find out as time goes by. Maybe y'all can come back to this video a year from now and call me out or something. I don't know.
Sure if Barkingham Palace is, and we'll have to see in the future if that's the case. Maybe KI will let us know in the next couple days, or we'll just have to find out in test room if there's even challenge mode gear for specifically Barkingham Palace. But anyways, that's it for the video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. I tried my best to keep it very simple, not too long of a video, but I want to make sure I cover everything when it comes to this whole stat mechanic, of course the new spell, as well as the minion changes. A lot of information to kind of take in, but hopefully you guys enjoyed it.
Hell yeah.
That's it for me. Leave a like, subscribe, all type of stuff, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace out, guys.
Big W, my man. Big respect to Almond there. That was the last of the oh my god, I've been going on for almost 2.5 fucking hours. Holy shit. Yeah, this is gonna be the longest video in this channel's history for a while, because oh my god. I ramble, I guess. Holy oh my god. You know what? Worth it. But either way, that's gonna be it. That was all 7 reactions to each of the teasers back to back. All at one go. And there won't really be a lot of editing here. I won't put too much in. Probably not really put any music at all. Maybe except for like the very beginning until videos play, you know. Like the editing here is going to be really light. But that's because I'm going to try and have this work almost like a way for you to kind of like sit back, relax, be like audio only friendly, not really do anything over the top. So hopefully you enjoyed this. Hopefully you enjoyed these teasers. If you have any opinions, let me know, whether they're positive or whether they're negative. Obviously, I didn't make any of these. I'm just reacting to the actual creators who got to do it. And again, congratulations to every single creator who got to do it. I know some people weren't big on the fact that everyone was a repeat and there was no new faces, no debuts. But hey, what can we do, right? Maybe someday you might see your boy there. I don't know. But maybe you won't. Only time will tell. I can't sit there and make predictions, but that's going to be it for now. Thank you for watching or listening to this very long video. Hit the like, comment, hit that subscribe button. You know what to do. My name is Tier, and I will see you in the next one. Have a good night.